This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very special warm welcome to Alanton Elementary and Glenwood Elementary Schools for joining us today on your very special Sunset Safari experience. Now, my name is Lauren and I have BK on camera today, and a very special elephant over there has made an appearance. So let's take a closer look because there's something very unusual about this elephant. So you can ask many questions, as many as you want actually, to your teacher, and hopefully we here at SafariLive will be able to answer them. Don't make them too difficult. So this elephant here is a little bit off in the distance to us, and it is feeding. And what is unusual about this elephant is that it actually only has one tusk. Now, most elephants have two tusks, but for some reason, this one only has one. So maybe it has lost one to injury or disease. So it's a one-tusked elephant. Now, it is a very, very hot day today. It is 90 degrees Fahrenheit here in South Africa, so it's incredibly hot for all of us, especially hot for this elephant. It is a big, big animal, and it's not able to sweat. Now, me and you can sweat when we get too hot, but elephants cannot. So that is why they have to flap their ears. It's like a big giant air conditioning unit that helps it keep cool. So Brielle is asking, what do elephants eat? Well, because it is summer here in South Africa, they are eating grass at the minute. This elephant is pulling up all the delicious, nutritious grasses from the ground with its trunk and popping it into its mouth. But there's a very special fruit here in South Africa called marula. And I will try to find you one a bit later, and I will show you what it looks like. And the elephants just love to eat the marulas. They walk around from marula tree to marula tree, and they just gobble up all the delicious fruit. So right now, I think this elephant is feeding on the grass, but I am sure it will be heading to the next marula tree to eat some very healthy fruit. Now, this is most likely a boy elephant because it's all alone. Normally, the girl elephants stay together in herds. So this elephant is probably alone because it is a young boy who's just venturing off and eating all alone. Now, not only do they have the big ears to cool them down, but they will try their hardest to stick to the shade to avoid this very, very strong sun at the minute so it doesn't get too hot. But our plan today, boys and girls, is also to visit some water holes. So maybe we can see some animals drinking at the water holes, or maybe even taking a bath. You never know. So that is the plan. But please do ask your questions. They're very, very important to us because this safari is just for you. So we are going to keep driving on in a minute to keep finding you exciting things. So for now, let's send you over to, well, all the way up to Kenya to see David, who has a very special animal for you.
Hello, boys and girls, and it's very exciting to have you on board. To us, this is afternoon. I'm trying to imagine it is a different time or maybe morning where you are. Well, my name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Archie. Hello, boys and girls, and Archie said, because when he did this, he stopped me on the road when I was driving, and he told me, can't you see a giraffe? And I'm like, where's the giraffe? And he made a very big look on me saying, a giraffe is a very big animal, David. You cannot miss a giraffe. And there we are, from an elephant, boys and girls. Now we got a giraffe on this very hot day, 27 degrees Celsius. And I'm sure maybe most of you like using Fahrenheit. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a warm, warm day in the Mara. We're in a different country. And our country, or the country me and Archie are in, is called Kenya. And the game reserve we are in is called the Mara Triangle. Those are giraffes you have seen there, and I'm sure you can notice a huge difference in terms of vegetation. From the elephant you saw with Lauren, look at the vegetation. And I'm sure there's a question there from Laura, and I'm sure I'll get it again. And you can see the shimmering of the heat there as the giraffes are walking in the grass. I'm sure, Lou, you're going to send me that question again. Maya, how are you? And I'm very happy because you're the first one to ask me a question. I was just about to request you, boys and girls, when you can, keep sending questions, keep sending questions. Now, Maya, you'd like to know how much food can a giraffe eat in a day? Well, depending on the age of the giraffe, or maybe depending on the physical condition, you know. For example, Maya, when you're sick, maybe you don't eat as much. When you're well, there's the amount of food you eat. Small girls and boys like you eat small amount. Big boys like me and Archie, we eat a lot of food. So it's the same case for giraffes. But Maya, in average, they would eat anything about 60 or 70 pounds of weight in a day. Can you believe that, Maya? 60 to 70 pounds of food in a day. Now, giraffes are herbivores, Maya. All boys and girls, I'm sure you know, herbivores are animals that eat green matter. Now, green matter would mean grass, leaves, twigs, shrubs, stuff like that. But giraffes, apparently, as much as they're herbivores, they do not eat grass. So it's very interesting to see them walk through the grass, and if you look at them carefully, they are not bothered, and you'd wonder why walk through the grass and not eat something. It's because giraffes are what we call browsers. Browsers are also herbivores, but they will always eat some leaves, some twigs, and browsers don't eat grass. Jason, good question. And you'd like to know if zebras can run faster than a giraffe. Yes, they can, because giraffes can run about 40 miles an hour on a straight line. 40 miles an hour, giraffes, and zebras can do 60 miles an hour or so. Now, Jason, zebras are in the same family with horses, and I'm sure all of you have seen horses racing, and especially those days, they have what they call a race course for horses to race, So racing horses have been very much or similar to zebras, and zebras and horses are more or less in the same family. So zebras are a lot faster than giraffes. Now, you remember I was telling you earlier that giraffes are browsers. Look at that one feeding. You see her eating. She's not eating the grass, but she's eating the leaves from that bush. And that is what a browser is. So zebras, for example, or small antelopes, for example, they are all herbivores, but they got different eating behavior. So giraffes will say they are browsers, but if you're lucky at one point today to see antelopes, you will notice the antelopes will be eating grass, and we are going to call them grazers. So any animal that will eat grass in general will be called a grazer. But animals that tend to eat leaves, like these giraffes here, are called browsers. So we got different types of giraffes in Africa. This particular one here is called the Maasai giraffe. And I'm sure you all know giraffes are the tallest animals that we got in the whole world. Can you believe that? Paula, you'd like to know how tall is the average giraffe. Now, apparently, the boys, which you call the males, are a lot taller than the females. The females are the girls. Now, the males can be up to 6 meters, which could be up to 6 times 3, 18 feet. Can you imagine? So imagine the size of a ruler, and you count 18 rulers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Will you believe that? About 18 of them. And that is in the boys or in the males. The girls are a little shorter by about 3 feet. So the girls are about 5 yards or 5 meters, which is something about 15 feet. So the boys or the males in general are much taller than the girls. But when you see them walking, you'll always sometimes see boys and girls together, and sometimes boys on their own, and sometimes girls on their own with their young ones. The kind of vegetation you see them eating is called a savanna, which means an open area, but you can see one tree here, another tree there, a small bush here, a small forest there. That is what a savanna is, and that's exactly what Archie is showing you. So remember, boys and girls, just as like Lauren said, your questions and comments always make us so happy. They give us a lot of joy, and we are always very happy when they're talking to you one-to-one. How nice is this? And I'm sure there must be either a link chemist there, Lou. How beautiful is the Mara? This giraffe, they'll eat, they will stop because of the heat of the day. Very good. So, boys and girls, you met Lola and Aria. Now it is me, but there's another gentleman who would like to say hello to all of you, boys and girls, back in South Africa.
Well, good luck, David. Hopefully you will have some success with the sausage tree pride down in the southern part of the Mara Triangle. We are also going to be on a mission to go and find some animals this afternoon. As yet, we haven't had any luck, but you never know. Maybe something will be around the corner at any point. As David mentioned, my name is Tristan, and I've got other David on this afternoon. And it is a very warm welcome to all of you. I hope you're having a wonderful day at school and that you are having an enjoyable time with us out on safari in Africa. And I look forward to many of your questions. Right, now our plan for the afternoon is that we're going to be heading eastwards. We're on a very big straight road at the moment, so we're using this to get eastwards, and we're going to go and try and check on an eastern boundary. So where the top of that hill is, basically, that's the sort of eastern side that we want to check, and we're going to go look at a little small kind of waterhole. And the reason we're going to go there is because over the course of the last 4 days, there's been a young female leopard that has been spending lots and lots of time in that area. So I'm going to go and try and see if we can find her and see if we can find any sort of footprints for where she maybe has been walking around. So that's the kind of plan for this afternoon. Maybe we'll get lucky. I hope we're lucky, because a leopard is my favorite animal, and so I want to show all of you my favorite animal. Plus, they're just really, really cool kind of creatures. So that's the plan. On the way there, though, we are going to pass a big waterhole, and hopefully there'll be some hippos there and maybe some birds that we can talk about. So lots and lots of cool, exciting things to look forward to, hopefully, this afternoon. Right, now, it's warm at this stage, and so we probably find that if we do look, or when we are looking for cats, probably find they are going to be quite sort of stationary. They're not going to be moving around too much because it's still quite warm. They'll probably be under some shade somewhere, just having a bit of a rest, which is useful to us, because if we can find their tracks, then it means they haven't moved too far and we can try and track them down. So that's the plan. Well, let's see how we go. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Lauren, who's doing much the same as I am and is going to check a lot of little waterholes.
Wow, remember I was talking about the marula tree. So here we actually have a marula tree, and this is the tree that produces the elephant's favorite fruit. So I'm going to show you what the fruit looks like, because it's very interesting. So here we have a marula fruit. It's about the size of a ping pong ball, maybe a little bit bigger, and it's green, so that means it's not ready to eat. So the elephants wouldn't really eat these ones. So we're going to throw it back into the environment. And this one, a little bit smaller, much softer, and it's yellow. So this one is ready to eat. I'm going to show you what it's like, because it's absolutely delicious. So you bite off the top, and inside is a very, very juicy and yummy and delicious fruit. Can you see that, boys and girls? That is what the elephants are after. And you know what I'm going to do today? I'm actually going to eat this one. So I'm just going to put it aside, and then when we go on our journey, I am going to eat it. But here, up in the marula tree, I'm going to show you two little birds. Now, these are actually my favorite birds. And there's two, and they are called the Cape turtle doves. Now, they're very similar looking to pigeons. Now, pigeons might be a bird that you have back home. Pigeons can be found everywhere, especially in the cities. But this one isn't a pigeon. It's closely related. This is a dove. And they were calling. I was hoping I could let you hear the call. But it goes something like, cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Oh, I think they heard my call and they thought it was really bad, so they decided to fly away. Anyway, we are now going to continue our journey to the water points as planned. I just wanted to show you that very, very special fruit. It's only really found in Africa. So I am from Scotland. It's very far away. And when I came to Africa, I first tried the marula fruit. Lisa's asking, do animals hide when they see the Jeep? Actually, Lisa, no, they don't. Most of the animals here are very accustomed to the Jeep. We drive very slowly and we approach all... Oh, we've got a lovely impala here. So this is a perfect example for you, Lisa. Let's take a look. He is walking away, but he didn't run away from us because, Lisa, most of the animals are used to seeing the Jeeps. They've seen the Jeeps since they've been babies or newborn animals. And we don't scare them, we don't drive too close, and we don't make too much noise. So when we saw that elephant earlier, we were actually very, very far away. And BK is an awesome cameraman, and he actually zooms in. So we never really get too close, and we always respect the animals out here. But generally, they're not too scared of the Jeep. Now, this animal that we are looking at making its way through the tall grass and trees is an impala. Impalala, one of my other favourites. And this is a type of antelope. Now, he has disappeared, but did you notice, boys and girls, that he had horns? I'll just go a little bit. Oh, he's still there. Do you think we can still get him, BK? Let's try. So this impala has horns, and that means it's a boy. It's a very easy way to tell that it's a boy. You see those big horns? Oh, isn't he beautiful? Now, the girls don't have horns, so it's very, very, very easy to tell the difference between boy and girl impalas. Oh, he's going for a little head scratch. Oh, that is very cute. He must have an itchy head. He's rubbing his head on this probably very jaggy bush. You know what it's like when you get an itch. It's very enjoyable to scratch it, and that is what this boy impala is doing. They are just really beautiful animals, and there's many, many, many impalas out here at the minute. So many. And normally we can find them right outside our camp in big groups of boys, girls and babies. So we're still going to continue as we were before we saw that lovely impala and try and get you to a water hole. I know that Tristan is also going to another water hole, so hopefully... Well, I just been informed Tristan does have something exciting for you, so let's go over to him.
Well, sorry guys, I didn't get any of those comms, unfortunately, but that's okay. You're with us at the moment, and you can see there is an Egyptian goose is sitting on the water surface and just bobbing about, really, which is what Egyptian goose actually do most of the time, and they are pretty much everywhere. But next to it, which is more important and pretty much why we came here, is a hippopotamus. And so hippos are animals that we see quite a lot of in this area. Generally, if you can find a water source like this, there will be a hippo somewhere at it, and this hippo is normally accompanied by one other but I don't know where its friend is today, unless it's maybe under the water surface and is just taking it easy. But normally there's 2 hippos that we see here, and what's happened is these guys have had a bit of a tough time because this particular waterhole is dried up a little bit, and then it kind of filled recently with rain, and so only recently have we started to see these guys kind of coming back into this area. And they love a place like this where there's water that is deep enough that they can kind of submerge and they can put their head and their back and everything else underneath. It allows them to be able to keep their skin nice and hydrated, and they don't actually have to worry about kind of, 1, getting sunburnt, and 2, worrying about dehydrating. And hippos need to worry about dehydrating, much like us as people, because they don't have any real kind of protection from the sun. They're not covered in a thick coat of fur. They've got just, skin. And that skin itself will, when the sun is on it, will mean that they lose a lot of moisture and they can then get in bad condition. So it's important that they are able to kind of find water like this, and I'm sure they're happy that we have had a bit of rain. But there you can see 3 different bird species all in one. So at this time of the year, when there's water around, often multiple different species of birds. And so in the background is an Egyptian goose, in the middle is a water thickney, and the one in the front, which is black and white, which is now in the middle, is called a blacksmith lapwing. So the blacksmith lapwing is the one running away from us, and then the water thickney is in front. So lots of different types of birds will utilize these areas, and they'll feed off all kinds of different things. The Egyptian goose, they feed mostly off grass. So what they'll do is they'll sit around on water, and then they'll walk to the edge to go and feed off little grasses and algae and weeds and those kind of things, whereas the others are generally moving around the edges looking for any little insects that they can potentially get. Oh, our hippo's standing up, David. Let's see if he'll stay standing. There's a big boy hippo. Telling the difference between a boy and a little hippo is very difficult. They look very similar. But generally what you'll find is boy hippos are by themselves like this in these kind of waterholes, whereas hippos tend to form pods together, which will be lots of them together that will protect the young, and they'll have little babies all around when they are like that. Sometimes you'll find a girl hippo by herself, and like I say, very tricky to tell the difference between the two. The male hippo or boy hippo, look, he's going to open his mouth. Look at his teeth. Amazing, isn't it? Big mouth that they're able to use, and they use. Maverick? No, I don't know how many hippos there are in South Africa. The thing about hippos is that they're pretty much everywhere, and so it's difficult to know exactly how many there are. They are quite a common animal. Anywhere where there's really water in South Africa, particularly on the sort of north and eastern side, there are a lot of hippos, and even in areas which you would think that there wouldn't be hippos, but there are quite a few. So, I mean, I would say easily, maybe 60, 70,000 of them, maybe more. They literally are everywhere in these northeastern sides of South Africa. You find them in most of the river systems, the national park area, in a lot of dams, in places even along the coast. You'll find them in estuaries. So there are a lot of hippos throughout, and we might not have as many hippos as other parts of Africa, but we still have very all the way around, and like I say, fairly common sight in any sort of water point that you get. And over the last few years we've had a lot of drought, funny enough, and so drought is when we don't get rain, and that means it's very bad for hippos, because not only do they not have somewhere to sit during the day when it's hot and to stay safe, but they also don't have anywhere to go and find food, and they require lots and lots of grass to survive. And so the numbers of hippos has actually declined over the last few years, and that's just purely based because of lack of rain. And you see there's a bird that's also landed on the hippo. That's called a red-billed oxpecker. Clever bird. It's using the hippo as a raft to be able to go and drink water, which is much safer than drinking on the edge, because there's no small crocodiles that will try and take the bird off a hippo's head, and also there's no other predators that will try and kind of go anywhere near the hippos. It's a safe place to go and drink, and on top of that, it's also a fast food service, because hippos will have parasites on them like little ticks, and that oxpecker can feed off that, or even little cuts that's on the hippo, and they'll feed off the blood of the hippo. Now, sorry, Lou, if you can just repeat that. It just broke up a little bit for me. Donna, what kind of animals eat hippos? Sorry. basically lions, hyenas, leopards, crocodiles, and those would all be baby hippos mostly. A adult male hippo like this will not really get hunted by anything. It's very, very dangerous for any of those animals to go near a hippo. A hippo can be really, really, really strong, and has these big teeth, and it can kill pretty much most of the other animals out here, except maybe for something like an elephant or a rhino. But they really are very dangerous. And so what you'll find is mostly they'll go, if any predator attacks hippos, it's the babies or adult hippos, which are like teenagers, but they won't really go after these adults like this. It's normally because it's two males that have been fighting with one another, and the other one has killed the other by biting it and puncturing its stomach cavity and hitting one of the vital organs like the intestines or the lungs or heart or something like that, and internal bleeding leads to the hippo unfortunately dying. But a big male like this, like I say, there's really no predator out here that's actually going to try and hunt them, and that's why their numbers are generally quite good, is because they have very few kind of predators to worry about. Once they get past a certain size, their life becomes much easier, and they can survive quite well as long as there's adequate water and food availability in terms of grazing of grasses. Then they do absolutely fine. But you can see it's not a very exciting life that he leads. Most of his day is just spent doing this, and then as the sun sets, he gets up and he'll walk out and start going to go and feed during the course of the night, so that he doesn't have to worry about the hot sun on his skin. Good, we're going to carry on. We're going to go try and see what else we can find. In the meantime, though, Lauren is doing the same thing. She's also looking for animals, and wonder if she's had any luck.
Wasn't that amazing? You guys got to see some hippopotamus, one of my also favorite animals out here. I love hippos because they spend so much time in the water, just like I like to do. Now, we are driving very slowly, very, very slowly, because it's important that we constantly look from left to right to make sure we're not missing anything. Now, there was a leopard in this area, a different leopard from the one that Tristan is looking for. So that's also why we're driving very slowly. You never know what you're going to see. Sometimes you can get a very big surprise out here when you see an animal that you were not expecting. But because it is so hot, as I already mentioned, sometimes the animals hide because it is this hot. So sometimes they'll be in the bushes or under the trees seeking some shade, which I would love to have. But luckily, I have my cap on. Oh, we have a bird over here. Let's see if my amazing cameraman can get this hornbill for you. Can you see that, BK? Yes. So we didn't want to drive too close because birds are very naughty. They always drive away when we get too close. Now, this is a hornbill. Now, this is a very iconic bird out here. There's lots of hornbills around. And they have, look at that big yellow bill. Look at that big beak. Isn't that beautiful, boys and girls? And you can see it's using its beak right now. Now, these birds, I have a funny story to tell you. Sometimes when I'm in my room studying hard, there'll be a knock at my window. I think, who's at my window? So when I go to my window to see who it is, it's the hornbills. And they're knocking on my window using this big beak of theirs because they see the reflection. And I think they get a little bit confused and they end up knocking on their own reflection. But what they don't realise is actually Lauren's glass door. And sometimes it gives her a very big fright. So these birds are very cheeky and very naughty. And you can see that they have this huge yellow bill and almost, oh, there we go. I didn't think that was going to last too long. Lily is asking a question. I'm just going to get it repeated. Where something lives, Lily. I am going to answer you as soon as it is repeated as we drive on. Where do those birds live? Is that your question, Lily? I hope I've got it right. I would hate to get it wrong. I don't know what's going on with my comms, but I think that's the question. So all birds fly in the sky. As we know, they have wings. So they fly up high in the sky, and at night time they will rest. So very often they will rest in trees, on branches. They don't normally stay on the ground, because on the ground that's where the predators are, and they could get eaten at night time. Some of the birds live in little holes in the trees. Some birds have nests. So they all have different places to live, but they do avoid the ground because it's not safe down on the ground. Now I am going to try you and find you more and more birds as we're traveling along. It's also very important for me to check the ground in front of me. You might wonder, why is that? Because if we are walking on the ground, we leave behind footsteps, right? Sandy ground. So when we walk, you can see our footprints. Well, that's the same with the animals. They will leave behind their footprint. And sometimes we can see their footprint and we will know, aha, there's been a leopard here, or maybe even an elephant or a buffalo. And we can tell that there's been an animal walk this way just from its footprints. How cool is that? So that's why I always have to keep glancing over my car. I'm not very tall, and make sure I'm not missing any important footprints. Megan's asking, do we sometimes get out of the Jeep? Yes, we do. When it's safe, there's not any big animals around. Yes, we do. Sometimes we like to stretch our legs, or we're looking at tracks. We're looking at those footprints. So yes, indeed, we do get out of the Jeep, but only when it's safe, Megan. We have to be really careful out here. So check all around us, make sure there's no animals, and sometimes we do get out the Jeep. We're not always stuck in this car. I'm actually looking for more birds to show you. I think we're on a bit of a bird roll at the minute, boys and girls. So it'd be lovely to show you some different ones that hopefully don't fly away. Can you see any birds, BK? BK says no. Sometimes the birds hide in the trees as well. It's also very hot for them, remember? But in about an hour's time, it will start to get a little bit cooler, and a little bit lower, and then some animals will start to come out of the shade. And that is when we might have more luck at spotting them. Now, birdies, where are you? Oh. Okay, so we're still traveling around. I'm going to do a little loop now and go back the way to that water hole. Continue on our journey. David up in the Masai Mara has something very exciting for you, so let's go and see what it is.
Well, boys and girls, I think now I've been lucky. After I left the giraffes, I moved on and see what we have found for you, boys and girls. We have found for you some lions. Yes, and that is a lioness, and she's trying to smell and look around and maybe seeing if she could get some dinner, but oops, no, she has gone flat. Now, I'll tell you, boys and girls, it is very normal for lions just to sleep like that. And I'm sure all of you, or most of you, have cats at home. Do you know how your domestic cat just sleep and sleep and sleep the better part of the day? It's the same case that the lions will do. And that's both boys and girls, or both males and females. Now here, I got two girls, or two females. That one you see there, and the other one there, that just went down in the grass. Now, in the month of December, oops, there are three actually, and that's a third one. Yes, the one that went flat first, which is that one, and the one you just saw earlier, and in between, Archie, who is on camera with me, showed you a third one. So we got three lionesses here. Now, I was saying in the month of December, we had some rains here in Kenya, and a lot of rain. And you see, the result of the rain is grass. Brighton, I guess that's your name, and you'd like to know, why do lions go in the long grass? Now, I was saying earlier, after we had the rains, everything turned green and the grass became very tall. Now, this grass is very good for the lions to hide. If, for example, a zebra or a warthog passes very close to these ones, they're not going to see it. And look, boys and girls, there's another one that is going to join those females. And look carefully on his neck and the head. And you can see he got more fur or more hair than the other one. It's because this one is a boy. Yes. You see the difference between boys and girls? So for lions, the males, they got what we call a mane. And mane is all the hair you see on his neck and the head. Girls do not have that. So by them being in the grass, they're definitely, sorry about my head, they're definitely trying to hide away from zebras. If they would see any zebras passing, zebras are not going to see them, but the lioness are going to see them, or the lions are going to see them. You notice they blend in very well. So that's the reason they're in the grass there. Now, boys and girls, the lions that we have in Africa, myself, Lauren, Tristan, we know them very well. Bushan, you're asking whether lions are as fast as cheetahs. Not really, I tell you. Cheetahs are the fastest animals in the world. And cheetahs can just run like, Usain Bolt, you know how he runs? Cheetahs can do about 110 kilometers per hour. And the lions can only do half that speed, about 60 kilometers an hour. So cheetahs are almost, not exactly, but almost twice as fast than the lions. And the reason for that is because, in general, cheetahs will always hunt small prey, small animals like gazelles, which are also very fast. Most of the animals the lions hunt are not as fast. So cheetahs have to be fast. If they're not fast, then it's going to be difficult. Now, lions don't run as fast because they hunt big animals, and because lions are strong, they can bring them down. Cheetahs need to run fast because the animals they hunt that we call prey, they are also very small. And once they catch them, the cheetahs are able to bring them down. Now let's go back to our lions that seem to be very lazy. And they're a bit lazy, not lazy per se. They seem to be very sleepy because of the heat of the day, not for any other reason. But as it cools off, they will wake up. Jolena, you're asking, what do lions drink? Now, lions will only drink one thing, water and nothing else. Lions will always drink water and nothing else. And most of the times when they drink water is after they have had some good meal. If they have eaten, for example, normally lions will eat zebras or wildebeest or giraffes or buffaloes. After eating lots of pounds of those animals, then they'll go for a drink. And they look for a small river or a small stream or a small well or a spring, and they're going to drink enough water to help them in digestion. You see how sleepy they are. So there are 4 of them there. And I was telling you before that because we follow our lions very well, we even know who they are and we give them names. So this particular group or family of lions here is called Owino. It's called Owino. That's the name of this group here. And I'm sure you know a group of lions, we like saying a pride of lions. And a pride will be females and the young ones. If you see the males will always not live with the females and the young ones or the pride. They live separately, and that group is called a coalition. So you might see 2 males together, 3 males together. So that is a coalition. But if it's females and the young ones together, that is a pride of lions. And in general, it's the girls who do the hunting, not the males. But when the girls do the hunting, the males will come and they'll also want to eat together. And after they eat together, again they go separate ways. So my friend told me this morning that these lions were trying to hunt, but they were not very lucky. Maybe tonight, who knows? Because at night, the lions can see better than most of the prey. They might be lucky this night. We can only wish them well. Julian, very good question. And you're asking, why do lions like to eat antelope? Because lions are what we call carnivores. Earlier, you remember, we were talking about giraffes, and we said giraffes are herbivores because they eat green matter. Now, lions will only eat proteins, and of course, antelopes are made of meat, which is a lot of proteins. That's a very good question. So, lions are carnivores. Carnivores are animals that eat meat, and they'll choose either an antelope or a zebra or a giraffe, as I said earlier, or even the big animals like buffaloes. Boys and girls, you see how beautiful Masai Mara is? You remember what I told you the name of this kind of vegetation? The savannah. I'm sure you have had kids or people who like calling them savannah. See, this is our savannah here in Africa, and it's dotted by all those trees you see here and there, and those trees, we call them torchwood trees. Torchwood trees, because those trees, they have seeds that we use sometimes to make fire, and that's why we call them torchwood. Sometimes when we are lucky, when we look on top of those trees, we see cats like leopards. You never know. When we don't see leopards, sometimes you see very big eagles perched up there. For example, snake eagles, when they'll be perched up there, maybe looking for snakes. Who knows? Beautiful trees, aren't they? Not sure, Sky, your question was, do any animals get into fight? I hope that was correct. But if that's the case, once in a while, you'll get males of particular animals going into fight. Thank you very much, Lou. So, and if you're lucky after this, maybe I'm going to look for some antelopes for you, and you'll notice some of the antelopes, and especially the males, they got horns, and they normally use those horns for fighting. So once in a while, you'll see them fighting, but also even in lions that do not have horns, we have always seen males or the boys fighting, and more often than not, they'll be fighting over the girls. So once in a while, that happens. And even in elephants, like the elephant you first saw with Lauren, you'll always see them fighting. But more often than not, it is the boys that fight. Girls in general do not fight. So what I'm saying in general, it's the males that fight, but the females do not fight. Now, I'll give you the name of this grass you see here, and the tall grass here is called the red oat grass. You see that? Because if you look carefully in the place that you'd imagine the seed would be, is a bit red, so that's why we call it the red oat grass. And it will continue growing tall if the rains will come again, until maybe the month of June or July, when we shall get animals here that we call wildebeest. And when those wildebeest will come, they are going to eat all this grass here, and the grass will be very short. So that is not until maybe sometimes in June or July. How wonderful is this, boys and girls? I want to give you one more chance to see these lions, and then you can say goodbye to them. How does that sound? Let's have a look at these lions one more time. And I want to thank Allenton Elementary School from Virginia Beach, who you are new to us. You have never joined us before, but today you have joined us. Thank you so very much. Glenwood Elementary School, you have never joined us before, from Virginia Beach. First joined us. We also want to thank all of you boys and girls from both schools, and also your teachers. You have done us very proud by sending all the questions and all the comments. And I'm sure very, very soon you'll be joining us again for another great moment, isn't it? Elephants, giraffes, lions, It could not be better. And personally, I did not know we'd be seeing lions until now. Is that not cool? So these lions continue here to be very sleepy. So we want to thank you, all of you. And again, hopefully we shall be seeing you again very soon. On behalf of myself, Archie, and the whole team in South Africa, thank you one more time and have a lovely day.
Everyone, and welcome to the normal part of our afternoon safari. It's a fairly successful kids safari or school safari this afternoon. We didn't get the leopard like we were hoping for, but nevertheless was still a nice sort of afternoon for the kids. Well, I hope they enjoyed it anyway. Right, now my name is Tristan. On camera I've got David, for those of you who have just joined us, and basically what we're doing at the moment is we're on the search for Kalamba. So we're looking around for her. We've checked Waripan, no sign of her there, no tracks either. Which is not good. I was hoping that maybe she was still hanging around that area. I wonder if maybe Tandi hasn't come back and fetched her during the course of the rain, not last night, the night before, and that's why. But where we are at the moment, you're probably wondering why I'm doing a U-turn in this area and what road I'm on. Well, I'm on the Torchwood fire break, and there was a Franklin here that was going absolutely crazy, and it's still going actually, and it's giving its alarm call, but I can't find what's causing it to be upset. It's sitting in a tree, and normally when you find Franklins in a tree, that's an indication that there is a predator around. So there it is there. You'll hear it's calling now. There's a few other birds that are also making a bit of a shouting match. So just straight through, Davy. Next to that stump. Maybe pan to the left for me a little bit. Oh, I can't. I think we're a bit too far to the right, maybe. I mean, to the left now, maybe. But anyway, there's a Franklin there. You can probably hear it. There it is, in that tree, shouting the odds. And that's often a sign of a kind of predator being around that could be aerial or land-based. So we're just scratching around in case Kalamba is here. Anyway, let's send you across to Lauren so she can say good afternoon. She's also got something that has uber cuteness factor. And so before it runs away, over to her.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your sunset safari. Now, we do have, a family of warthogs that we've bumped into, which I do feel are the same ones that we have been seeing regularly. But just quickly, before I forget to introduce myself, my name is Lauren, and on camera today, I do have BK. So the two of us are on the search for Tingana. Now, we've searched some paths, but we just thought it was so adorable to come across this warthog family. And in typical warthog fashion, they have moved off. So let me just go forward and try and see if we can get the warthogs and show you the little young piglets. Now, Paula did ask me a question the other day about warthogs, and the question was, when do the tusks in warthogs start coming through? And I wasn't sure, so of course I went and researched it. So Paula, I do hope you are watching. Okay, look at that over here. Oh, they're so skittish. Yes, Paula, if you are watching, the tusks normally come through round about 6 months. So they are mammals. Of course, they will have their milk teeth, which will eventually lose, and the adult teeth will come through. And of course, the tusks are modified incisors. So they will come in about 6 months. So Paula, I do hope you're watching, and I did remember to answer your question. Now, I can't for sure say that this is the same family, but every time we come down to Twin Dams at the minute, we are seeing these piglets. So I do think it is the same one, but there is 6 this time. Last time I only saw 5. So it could be a different family, or it's the same one and I just miscounted, which is also a potential option. However, they are all staying very close together, which is absolutely adorable. Warthogs are actually known to have up to 8 offspring at one time. That's the possible number that they can have. So it's very adorable to see that this little family actually has 6. Now, warthogs have a hard life, just equally as hard as impala and all the other prey species. So they're constantly on alert. And I never see this mother far away from her babies. Oh, Paula, I'm really glad to know that you're listening and that you got my answer. I'm sorry I didn't know that before, but I know it now. So it's around about 6 months, of course. Now, warthogs are a potential prey species, but animals have to be careful with warthogs because of their weapons on their head. And it's not actually the tusks that you can visibly see that are the dangerous ones. It's the one inside that you can't see. And even humans have been injured from warthogs quite severely. So you can see why Hosanna took a sort of a second thought about attacking a warthog. And I think for the likes of Tingana and Hukumuri, it's a specialised task to be able to get a warthog. It cannot be easy. Hello there. The little ones are so adorable. Let me just see if I can get a little bit closer. Every time I move the car, they end up kind of disappearing. So let me see if I can just get you one last glimpse of these babies because they're so adorable. There we go. They seem to be okay when the car's on, but as soon as I turn it off, they seem to scatter. So let's just see if I can get that marginally bit closer to these cute little babies for you. Now they're going to go really big, really fast. They will not stay this small for long. They need to grow, they need to get heavy, muscular, and that gives them much more defense. Okay, here we are. Now you get, oh, look at them. I just hope turning the engine off doesn't scare them. No, it didn't. Oh, I don't know why baby warthogs make me very, very happy. And I am intrigued to know if it is the same groupings. Hello. Yes, you're very sweet. You are. So I'm going to try and see if I can look closely at them and find any sort of identification feature on this family, and then we can maybe keep a better eye on them to see if it is the exact same one. Oh, that's so sweet. So normally when the piglets, as we call them, the wart piglets, which is a bit of a mouthful, they can actually weigh around 1 to 2 pounds at birth. So they are born incredibly small, and then they do fill out very, very nicely. And the mother obviously lives with the young together, and I just love what their collective term is. When the young lives with the mother, it is called a sounder. So what we are looking at right now is a sounder of warthogs, and I just think that is a fantastic collective name for a group of animals. I'm really fascinated by collective names for animals. There's some absolutely magical ones out there on land and in the ocean. But a sounder of warthog is definitely up there with the most favourite one. And if we just get a closer look at the mother BK, she's in the background, you can, oh, both females, yeah, you can see she's very swollen. You can see her nipples, so she's obviously lactating. So this is actually 2 females here with 6 young. So I don't really want to leave these warthogs, but I guess we have to at some point. So for now, let's go across to Tristan, who has an elephant up to no good.
Well, I'm sure Lauren is absolutely loving the warties. They are super cute when they're that small. You can see we've managed to find ourselves some Ellies, so it's not the predator that we were hoping for with that Franklin alarm calling, but at least there is some semblance of life, because it was starting to get a bit dire out here. We hadn't seen a single animal. There's a little tiny baby in amongst them. I didn't even notice you. The grass is so long I can hardly even see that tiny baby. In fact, it's just hidden. It's the camera being higher than I am can actually kind of see it a little bit better, which is quite nice. Now we're going to have a mischievous individual that's about to cross behind us. What are you up to? Do you not want to be left behind? Yes, we're going to join the rest of them. Now, in terms of which herd it is, difficult to say. I mean, don't know just yet if it's any of the ones that we normally recognize. It doesn't look like short trunk, but there's the elephant there that's got that kind of broken cartilage on the right ear, and there's a few members of a couple different herds that have that. Fang's herd has an elephant that is like that, but it's not Fang's herd. This is far too small for her herd. Her herd is at least sort of 25, 30 animals. Excuse me. Whereas this is only, from what I can see, 4 of them. So I don't know if we've seen these guys before, but they're just gently feeding underneath the marula at the moment. They basically headbutted the marula and a few fruit fell down, and now it's just collection job. So as they all fall down, they then need to come and kind of try and figure out where everything has landed and kind of sniff the fruits out. But that little baby will be learning all the time. Hello, Mom. Yes, the little one is very small. I'd say this little one is still very new, maybe only a couple weeks old. Look at those ears when it flares them up. Hello, little one. Super cute. So cuteness overload at the moment with baby warthogs and Ellies. There's also Nicria, actually just to the right of that Ellie. Oh, it flew away. But there was a butterfly that was there. There was Nicria, and I didn't see which one it was, but there was definitely one in that area. Now, this Ellie is going to walk right past us and should be very, very cool to see. Now, it's awesome when you get Ellies walking like this, especially little tiny babies. Hello, guys. It's always cool when they are this trusting towards us. Shame, little one, did you get a fright? Are you not sure about us yet? Still a bit wobbly on those legs. And here comes the one with the ear as well. But so cool when they walk like this. Are you going to come say hello to us? Very, very cool. And just giving us a little sniff as they go past. And so when Ellies approach you like that, it's actually okay as long as you just sit nice and still and you don't sort of move around too much. They've made the conscious choice to walk past you and that you are safe enough to be that close to. If you had to drive that close to an elephant, you're not going to get the same reaction at all. So always important if you're ever out here and you're doing your sort of self-drive is to try and park a little bit of a distance away from Ellies, and if they decide to approach you, you're perfectly safe. As long as you're still and your engine is off, you won't have too many issues. But let's try and see if we can maybe get another view of them. I'm sure they're just going from marula to marula as they try and feed. I also need to get hold of Lauren because she called me on the radio, so just give me 2 seconds while I chat to her. Lauren. Well, I almost couldn't speak there for a second. Just trying to kind of hear her nicely. Lauren, can you copy me? Lauren, I'm just crossing these elephants into Torchwood now, but you're welcome to head to Chipto if you want. So just planning where we're going, which is fine. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure these guys are going to feed off of marulas. Hold on, David, let's do a bit of a different route here. We're not going to go right towards where they are right now. We're going to go kind of in the direction I think they're going to head. There's another marula that is just in sort of off to my left that's in front of where they are, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move kind of past us towards where that marula is. Make sure we don't hit any stuff. stumps going through here. It's not exactly that open inside here. We'll see how they go. If they're going to continue to move too fast, then we'll probably let them kind of be. I don't want to stress them out. Obviously, with a young elephant like that or a little baby, it's still not 100% used to us, and so it might have a little bit of a sort of panic if we follow it too much through thickets. It'll be probably much happier if it can kind of just follow the adults. The adults seem absolutely fine. They're not even turning in our direction at all. They seem to be quite happy with our presence. But like I say, we don't want to push it. We don't want to chase this little Ellie around and make it kind of stress. Ultimately, with elephants, it's also much like any other animal, is that they remember things, and if you kind and don't follow them and don't chase them and don't sort of abuse them in any way, then they'll be okay, and they won't kind of be too full of nonsense later on in life. And one does not want to irritate an elephant that will be sort of 6 tons when it gets a little bit older. It's better rather to keep them on your good side for the most part. The problem is also where they're going is getting thicker and thicker, and so that means that we're going to hit more and more trees if we try and follow them where they're going. So Paula could be a number of things. Could be a genetic defect, could be an issue when it was developing within the female. Maybe a birthing complication could cause that ear defect. Nutritional, maybe. A number of things, really. There's no way to put a sort of exact finger on what was the issue with that ear. I suppose if you maybe could kind of trace this elephant from day one and see if it was born with it, if it was a birth defect, like I say, or if it was just something to do with during its life it's managed to kind of damage that ear in some way. Difficult to say, though, exactly what would cause that particular one. There's a number of, like I say, a number of issues that could lead to that, but I would imagine genetics would be one of them, because that particular ear doesn't look like it had any sort of trauma. There's a little baby that is running through there. Difficult to see it in this long grass. And give you an idea of how long the grass is getting is when little baby Ellies start to disappear like that. Very, very cute. Right, they're disappearing into a thicket. I'm not going to chase them inside here. Like I say, it's getting thicker and thicker. You can see how they're disappearing. So we're going to carry on. We're going to see what else we can find. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to David, who's with very sleepy, very inactive lions.
Welcome to the Mara, our regular viewers. And yes, I think I would agree with you, Tristan. For now, you may forget the elephants, because I'm sure the viewers had a wonderful view, and now look for leopard, because you must justify your name, the Leopard Whisperer. Now, we're in the Mara Triangle in Kenya. A very warm welcome to all our regular viewers. Nothing has changed. My name is David, and it means Archie. Archie is on work on day 2 now. He came 3 days ago, and I'm sure he's very excited to do shows every morning and every afternoon. Well, we got a Pride of Lions here, and I'm sure, you know, we follow our lions very well. We know them very well, and this is the Owino Pride. Because of the heat of the day, you'd expect only one thing: poop, lying flat, which is typical of lions or typical of most cats, lions, leopards, and cheetahs in the middle of the heat of the day. And these ones are having the best sleep I've seen in a very long time. Now, they are sleeping in the midst of a sea of grass, and I'm sure you all know this is the red oat grass. Paula, very good. I'm very happy to hear your name, Paula, and you're saying they have not moved from yesterday. Well, let me give you an idea where they were. From where I'm sitting, Paula, or from where they are, I would say they were about 12 o'clock from where you saw me when I was facing the camera. So imagine my 6 o'clock behind me, Paula. That is where they were. And give or take, Paula, it's not very far. I think you're right, because it's not more than 3 miles from where they were yesterday. And from where they are now and where Isaac saw them this morning is about 1 mile. So I would agree with you, they have not moved much, and ideally not more than the radius of 3 miles. And Paula, they're only doing one thing here. They're looking for food. And this morning they did all they could, and they were looking for every barrel of a warthog and trying to sniff it, and nothing would come out. They would climb Termite Mound to have some wonderful vantage of the Mara Triangle through the savannah. They could not see anything. And of course, polar, as it warms up, they tend to slow down. And as soon as it slows down, because of the heat of the day, they'll have to wait maybe until what? About time like now. It's about 6 o'clock Kenya time here, or the East African Standard Time. So I wouldn't be surprised anything 10, 15 minutes from now, they'll start, waking up and moving around, because definitely the temperatures have gone down. But what is interesting, even as late as 6:30 going to 7 o'clock, it's still rather very warm. And I'm trying to imagine here, they are just enjoying the shade of the grass. Otherwise, there's no any one tree close by. Merchant Mandra, you are asking whether the Owinos still have their young sub-adult male. Yes, currently what I have with me now are 3 fully grown females, and I'm guessing in that particular pride we have butternut and we have lychee. I can tell those definite. Butternut is always large in size, and he has like that look of butternut. And lychee is also there. And I saw the youngster when I got here. I saw the youngster. I'm not sure whether that's what Archie is showing us, but yes, to answer your question, 100% the young sub-adult male is still with them. And I'm sure you might have seen last year when Butternut, who is, I would say, the lead female in this particular pride, she had left and she went to mate with the Kipuli. That could be around October, end of October, end of September, early October last year. Butternut left this pride and she went to mate with Kipuli. Now, I'm not sure that was the reason why the youngster in this pride decided not to have any discipline, or he thought he's big enough and he could go and join maybe other males to join another coalition. But I can tell you, he was beaten, and he was beaten so badly. By the time he came back to rejoin the pride, he was in very bad shape. He had lots of claw marks, he had a lot of teeth marks, and quite a number of superficial wounds that he had. But apparently, he recovered. And if you see him today, there's only one small little mark that you might see on his hind quarters, very small, which have since healed, and he is back to his best and in good shape. Very good. I'm just going to give them a few more minutes and see if they're going to rise and shine. If they do not, I'll be moving around to look for my favorite Pride of Lions. But in the meantime, Tristan, I think he got some feathered friend.
Indeed, we do have a feathered friend there. You can see cruising around behind all of those bits of vegetation is one of our sort of more ground-based birds that we, I suppose, see regularly but don't get on camera all that often. Sometimes they're quite flighty and run away. So it's a red-crested koran that's busy moving around in there, for those of you that are unaware of what this bird is. You can see it doesn't have the black chin, which would be the black-bellied bustard. That would have the black stripe down the chin. Oh, hello, you're coming out into the open, finally, which is nice. And these guys are really cool. They do an amazing kind of display flight when they decide that they want to show off to females, and then you'll find that they kind of go up into the air and do the suicidal dive, and they have this very cool call. But unfortunately, it seems as though it's going to sit behind us. Let's see if I can try. David's going to try get a shot of it. So I do apologize about the pole as it runs away. It's going to go right behind the pole, isn't it? Yes. Sorry, David. That's Murphy's Law in practice right there. That's exactly how not to put an animal on camera. Is between David and I, we have completely not calculated very well at all. But anyway, its bird is gone and it's run off down the road, and that was a horrible failure, but you get the idea of what it was. At least you saw it very, very briefly. Well done, David. I know you try very hard. Anyway, these things happen. It's part of being live, isn't it, David? And filming wildlife, which doesn't do what you always want it to do. But anyway, it's nice to see. Nice bird to have around. Often find them in kind of grassy areas. They like to spend a lot of time in places like this. Now, we haven't had any luck on cheetah cutline. No tracks that I can see for Tlalamba there. I mean, she could be on Torchwood, but Ali said to me she checked Torchwood this morning and there was very little sign of anything moving around on Torchwood, and there's one of the landowners also driving around there at the moment and saying there's not much happening. So I'm going to go back to Gwaripan just quickly, have a little look around, see if maybe she's not done a little loop and is only coming out now. And if failing all of that, then I'm going to do the extreme and I'm going to go all the way to the western side of the reserve, and we're going to go and try and see if we can scratch around and see if maybe Shidulu has come over. So those are going to kind of be the plans for the afternoon. But in the meantime, Lauren seems to have gone to Chitwa, as we were discussing earlier, and seems to be rewarded for going to the dam because, well, she's got something that seems to be approaching the waterhole.
And look what we have at Chitwa, exactly what I was hoping for. Now, I do know you have seen elephants with Tristan just now, but this is a different herd. They came from the southern side of Chitwa, and they headed straight to the waterhole to drink. Without a doubt, they went straight down there. And there's actually a lot of young ones in there as well, some very, very small ones. And you can see they're just using their trunk and just scooping up as much water as they can. Now, I actually hoped some of them would go in swimming, and I'm not 100% sure they still won't. I think one or two of them might go for a dip. It's just so lovely seeing such a large herd like that just all come down for a drink. Now, the hippos were honking and the elephants trumpeted a little bit earlier. They obviously are aware of each other's presence, but other than that, the elephants actually moved a little bit further away to the other side from the hippos, and of course I've just waded in the water. It's just, oh, it's absolutely adorable. It takes my breath away every time, and there is so many elephants on the property right now. You may notice each time we have a drive, we just can't help but bump into elephants. So the waterhole really is the perfect place to check for them. And of course, if you want to think about it like this, they do say that elephants actually came from the ocean. There's many theories regarding that. Elephants came out the ocean and came back onto land along the lines of evolution. So they're very, very, they have a strong affinity for water, is what I'm trying to say there. Oh, adorable. All different ages, all different sizes. And there will be a matriarch, of course, but it's just not always so obvious to work out who is the matriarch. You would have to observe them for quite some time to know exactly who the matriarch is. And of course, the matriarch has the responsibility of leading the herd. It's a huge responsibility, and this is the one with the most sort of cultural knowledge, if you like, knowledge of the landscape. The elephant is able to use her knowledge and her memory to guide the herd safely across the landscape. It's literally critical to the others within a herd, the matriarch's knowledge and her ability to lead them. Without her, many herds would actually not survive. It's just wonderful to see this. Rosalind is asking how much water can elephants drink through their trunk, and that is a great question because it is a lot. Now, it can actually pull in 12 litres in one draw, and there is lots of sort of statements that say they're actually the most efficient drinkers on the planet for this reason. So just in one sort of pull, one sip, if you like, in human terms, they're actually able to draw in 12 litres of water, which is just an extraordinary amount if you think about it in terms of humans. And they are said to drink up to about 160 and 170 litres of water per day. Now, I do believe this varies depending on the sort of, I would imagine, the ambient temperatures. If it's a really, really hot day, I suspect they might spend more time around the water holes. But if it's maybe not so hot, they of course do need to drink, but maybe not pull in as much water. And the trunk itself is just such an organ of dexterity. It's just amazing how an elephant has adapted. Now look at these two. What are you two doing? Looks like they're having a little conversation about the rest of the herd. Maybe they're saying, oh, this young one's been really, really naughty. Oh, no, it's not a happy conversation at all. It looks like we've got a little bit of a dispute going on here. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's too severe. It could just be a little disagreement here. Oh, you can hear them, and you can hear the hippos as well. We're surrounded by wonderful noise here. Come on, elephants. What's wrong? Talk it out. This is actually the most I've ever seen elephants dispute. Oh, they're really locking heads here. Oof. Look at them go. They're head on, head to head here. But I get the feeling they're not going to hurt one another. It looks like they're almost communicating with one another here, doesn't it? Oh, look at that. Yeah, this looks like two young bulls having a bit of a dispute. Getting a bit too boisterous and a bit too naughty. Yes, Chris, young bulls do get, well, I guess like young men, they sort of are becoming older teenagers. They get a little bit boisterous, a little bit naughty. All sorts of hormonal changes are happening, and they do like to have clashes, head-on collisions with one another, and sort of fight it out. Look at this one walking backwards. And that's very often why young bulls are actually pushed out of the herd. They're pushed out by sometimes even their mother or the older female, because they do become too boisterous and too headstrong. They become a danger to the herd, and all the younger ones, especially the very young ones. Oh, here we go. Let's watch. You can see they're locking their tusks. This is incredible. What a moment. But I would say this is more like sort of wrestling, you know, when you wrestle with your brother and sister. I still wrestle with my brother to this day. I hate to admit it. I don't get the feeling they're going to really hurt one another. But that one in front did smack the other one with its trunk there. There is a size difference between the two. The one at the back doesn't seem to want to let it go. Monique is saying she wishes she could walk backwards like the Ellies. Oh, so do I. It was very graceful, wasn't it? It was almost like the moonwalk, Michael Jackson style. Oh, we're going into the water now. They're still not letting up. They might have a little bit of a toss and tumble in the water here, right in Chitwa Dam. Oh, can you hear that? What are you guys doing? I think one has been a bit more submissive than the other here. And one doesn't seem to want to let it go. This is a wonderful moment. Let's share it with everyone. Maybe the water might calm them down a bit. Elephants do enjoy spending time in the water. Okay. Seems to be the one on the left that seems to keep wanting to toss and tumble here. Oh. Welcome everybody, we are live here in South Africa at a special dam called Chitwa Dam, and we do have two elephants having a bit of a toss and a tumble in the middle of the dam. It is incredible. What an amazing moment. Seems to be a bit of a toss and tumble between the two. I'm just going to move my car a little bit because there is another vehicle here, so there we go. My name is Lauren. We have BK on camera, and let's go back to the elephants. Don't want to miss a moment. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but they've been having a bit of a standoff for some time now. And they seem to just be rolling about in the water here. It looks like they've calmed down a little bit actually since entering the water, and I do think they are engaging in a sort of little bit of play now. Whacking each other with their trunks and splashing around. And do talk to us. We are here live with these elephants. Do send in your comments and questions about this amazing sighting that is happening right in front of us right now. No. They keep almost submerging themselves. Now, this dam is not that deep, so they're obviously bending their legs. Lisa's asking, do elephants swim or go underwater? And yes, they do. Normally, they can completely submerge themselves. It helps themselves cool down. And then they're actually able just to stick their trunk out, Lisa, like a snorkel and still breathe. Oh. See, the one on the left, the one behind, seems to want to sort of engage in more wrestling. And if you can hear that noise, that is coming from the hippos nearby. It's not coming from the elephants. They've got some sized tusks. And they've been rumbling about for about maybe 10 minutes now. And you can see... Oh. Yep, it's not over yet. It's not over till it's over. Scott's asking, do they have anything to fear while they're swimming? Well, Scott, I think right now they're probably fearing each other more than anything. But in this dam, there is hippos and there are crocodiles. So potentially there could be clashes if they did maybe rub a hippo up the wrong way. But you have to remember, an elephant is a huge size. Just look at these two. So I really don't think a hippo would approach an elephant and attack it, nor a croc. They're still continuing the sparring. The crocs we get here don't go too large, so I don't imagine a crocodile would attack an elephant. So no, I don't think they have anything to worry about here. Oh, it's moonwalking again. It's going backwards. Back into the water. What are you two up to? Terence is saying thank you for sharing this. Oh, you're welcome, Terence. This is what we do here at SafariLive. We are live. We never know what's going to happen. And just look at this pair. Clashing heads and putting their trunks right against one another. And then they keep taking little breaks. It's such an amazing moment, and I'm happy to share it with all of you. Me and BK are thoroughly enjoying it. Shannon's asking, are they playing or are they angry? And that's a really good question. From what I can observe here, I don't feel they are that angry. Elephants can be a lot more aggressive than this. Oh, there's so much going on around us right now. So I feel like they're sort of play fighting, if you like. Not playing, but sort of having a good old toss and tumble like you maybe would your brother or sister. So they're not being overtly aggressive to one another. They're just sort of being very boisterous and maybe just having a bit of a play, a bit of some head clashing to sort of say, hey, I'm bigger than you. No, I'm bigger than you. No, I think I'm definitely bigger than you. Something along the lines of that. Now, they sort of had to clash out of the water, then they went in for a little bit of a cool down, and they're back again. Now, there was a huge herd of elephants before everyone came along and joined us, and they did leave, and they probably left to escape these two, to get away from the ongoing internal politics here. Oh. Look at them. Now, the one on the right's been more submissive, I would say. And you could see the size of their tusks. I mean, they really could do some damage, and they're not. They're sort of head clashing on that sort of nasal area at the start of the trunk, if you like. This is such a tumble. It's been going on. Oh. It's picking up a little bit. Stephen says maybe they're just testing their strength, and exactly, Stephen, they probably are. Female elephants tend to be very maternal, with great leadership skills and a lot of social bonding within herds. Female elephants behave very different from males. Males get to a certain age, teenage age, between sort of 12 and 18, where their hormone levels do change and their lifestyle change. They start getting a different reception from the other females in the herd, and eventually they will get ousted. Now, as many of us know, hormones affect the body quite dramatically. Oh. That's very dramatic. Look at, there's a hippopotamus nearby. Can you see the hippopotamus? I'm pretty sure that elephant just face-planked the bottom of the dam. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, or there was a little slip there. Now there's a lot of hippos nearby. You can see them all. They're just watching the fight, I think. Oh, this is amazing. Now, Ellies, now. Now, it is very hot today. About an hour ago, it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius. Not sure if the temperatures have dropped a little bit, but either way, it's still very hot. It's another reason they probably came into the water to continue their scuffling. Oh. Because if they continue to scuffle out of the water, they are going to get too hot. Look at all the hippos. You can just hear the tusks clashing. The hippos have got front row seats. They're just being very boisterous and very, very playful. They're really, really messing around, and they're actually having sneaky little drinks in between with their trunk. You can see them using the trunk to put some water in their mouth. And they're obviously cooling down. The water really helps elephants cool down on a day like today. There's actually two hippos fighting on the right side as well. Oh, they've just stopped. What is in the water today at Chitwa Dam? Now we have a question. I didn't quite get where it was from, but it was, do elephants live alone by themselves? And yes, at a certain point in their life, they do. So they sort of undergo a change. They're part of the herd when they're younger, and they remain with the herd for quite some time. And then once they become a teenager, they start to cause trouble. Now, I guess all teenagers sort of start to cause trouble, but they do leave the herd, or normally they're pushed out of the herd when they reach puberty, between 12 and 15 years old. And they will either live alone, or they will sort of join up in bachelor herds, if you like, where a group of males will come together. But they probably won't get to mate until they're about 35 years old. Oh, there's a hippo. The hippo was saying, hey, I'm not getting any attention here. I'm going to just yawn and remind everyone that I'm here. Some of the biggest animals we have here are all doing all sorts of displays for us. So yes, once bulls get to a certain age, they do go and live alone. or join sort of bachelor herds. And much older bulls that are sort of more experienced and calmer than these two may actually be accompanied by a few younger bulls known as askaris, the young warriors. So that's sort of like a mixed age herd. So the sort of askaris will actually learn from the older bull, learn social skills, and actually offer him protection. So it's quite more beneficial for the males to join up with others, especially. Oh. And Juliet said it looks like they're having so much fun. And yes, Juliet, I agree. I'm rather jealous. I'm a bit of a water baby, and I can see the hippos and the elephants just having a, I was going to say whale of a time, but that is the wrong word. An amazing time. Did you hear that? They're trumpeting. Oh, you could just see how playful they are. He's smacking his trunk on the surface of the water to create so much splashing. Barb's loving this so much, and so am I. Did you see how close that hippo was? I've actually never personally seen elephants this close to the hippos. This is just incredible. It's quite unusual to see the elephants sort of this boisterous and playful. Sometimes they don't always let you see this side. Now the hippos are very relaxed here, considering there's two huge elephants in front of them play fighting. It could go dramatically wrong here. But the hippos do not seem to be bothered at all. Look at them. So for so many reasons, these elephants, when they're in the water, elephants love water. They love coming to water holes. They need it to cool down. It makes their skin feel good. They get to drink. They get to sort of clean. And of course, these two are getting to expend some energy and just fight it out between the two of them, which is just wonderful. Now, they do actually sort of have ritualized tussling. This is very common for young bulls. And what they're trying to do here, it is play, but it also does have a meaning to it, if that makes sense. They are trying to establish strength and dominance between one another. So it is like a fight, but I don't think it would end in bloodshed between the two of them. They're just sort of finding their feet, learning to deal with the testosterone changes, and of course just establishing themselves. I'm better than you. I'm not quite sure when this is going to end, but they're back at each other again, so let's stay with them just a little bit. Oh, they've both gone under. They've both submerged. Elephants are not scared of water. They thoroughly enjoy it, and they do regularly bathe, so it's not a problem for them to be tussling in the water like this. TK is saying this is amazing. Yes, TK, and I think the hippos are agreeing with you. Look at that. In one view, you've got hippos and two bulls tussling it out between one another. Now, younger bulls between about sort of 12 and 15, or maybe 12 and 18, their hormonal levels are changing, but they do get used to dealing with their hormones, just like anybody, I guess. So the older bulls are more accustomed in dealing with their, well, emotions. Yep, that's the correct word, and their hormone levels. So Varv is asking, where are we? And we're on Chitwa, at Chitwa Dam. Oh, look at them, with this magnificent sighting. I can hear them from here. I'm quite a bit away. We're on the dam wall of Chitwa Dam. And they're back on land again. When are you two going to behave? They will tire out eventually, and it will sort of calm down. They're just probably trying to get all that extra energy that they have and just get rid of it all by taking it out on each other. Good boys. They're both standing back to back now. Look at that. It looks like they're sort of, well, not talking to you now. Let's just have a look at the two of them together. There we go. Look at them literally standing back to back. You know, when you've had a fight with someone and you really don't want to look at them, that kind of looks what is happening here. I wonder if they will go for another round or not. But let's see if we can quickly show you the hippos that are fighting over to the right here. Two hippos have now started fighting. You see them, BK? They're tussling with one another. Oh. Oh, over this side. A little bit more right, BK. No, a little bit closer. You're going to miss the fight. There we go. Got the two hippos clashing with one another as well. They've just calmed down a little bit. But it would be magnificent to show you another huge animal sort of fighting with one another. And again, it's not territorial. It's most likely young ones that are just sort of engaging in another, sort of showing their strength, showing their dominance, showing they're better than one another. I think we might have missed that. Okay, let's check on our Ellie bulls and see how they're doing. There we go. I think they have calmed down now. Oh, spoke too soon. You can see the body language, sort of shaking their heads, swinging their trunks, swinging their ears, sort of moving really sort of with a swagger. I like to say that, swagger, that's it. They've got the moves like Jagger. That's always a sign of a sort of young bull elephant when they move that way. But they're not displaying aggressive behaviour to one another other than the tough sort of tossing and tumbling. There's no, elephants do display their sort of how they're feeling with their body language, and you can look at certain things as their posture, their tail, their ears, all sorts of different things to determine how an elephant is feeling, and they're not displaying any overt aggression towards one another. So it is literally just sort of wrestling, if you like. WrestleMania right here at Chitwa Dam. I just love the way they slap their chunk down in the water. Did you hear that? The hippos are back at it again. The elephants are back at it. Oh, there must be something in the water today, I tell you. Now, from what we can observe here, they are being careful with their tusks. They are aware that they do have the weapons on their heads, and they are actually being quite careful with their tusks if you do watch how they're positioning their head, because they could injure one another technically with those tusks, and they're not. They're sort of just doing a more of a head-on collision and trunk smacking, if you like. Look at this one. I think this one's like, oh, I'm over this now. And the other one's enjoying some water time. What an incredible moment. Are you guys going to leave each other alone? Oh, we've got some hippos climbing out of the water with a little young one in tow. Let's just show you that. You can see the size of them compared to the elephant. No, BK, they're climbing out the water. Yes, with a little baby in tow. Can you see that? I think they've had enough of the elephants and they're like, we're going to leave. It's not really much fun at the moment. So from one huge animal to another. Look at the size of the hippopotamus. Now, I have been asked before what would happen if a hippo and an elephant sort of had a standoff. And I believe there is recordings of standoffs of these two species, but it doesn't result much more than that. It is sort of just a clash between species, and the elephants are much bigger, the hippos are much shorter. So I don't believe there's any record of actual fights between these two. Oh, the elephants are back at it again. I wonder how long this is going to go on for, everybody. Oh, they're coming back in the water. It's probably easy for them to tumble about in the water than it is on land. Probably get buoyed up a little bit better with the water and their huge body weight than they do on land. Margaret is saying this is beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You are welcome, Margaret. This is what we do here. And it's happening live, 100% live as you see it, right in front of our eyes. And that's why we share it with you. It really, really is a wonderful moment. And that's exactly why we came to Chitwa Dam. I really hoped to see elephants swimming. I didn't quite anticipate two young males deciding to have a WrestleMania at the edge of the dam, but here we are. Now, they're roughly the same age, you tell by size. So I think the one on the right is a little bit older. But generally, these young bulls are approximately the same age, reaching those teenage years, those awkward teenage years. And Ravinda said it looks like it's a never-ending fight. Yes, you are right. We've been here for quite some time now, and they're just not giving up. Oh, they're back on the shoreline. Now, come on, boys. The rest of the herd you were with left a very long time ago. Now, elephants communicate in so many different ways that we can't actually hear. So there's a large potential they could be communicating with one another, and we can't even hear them. So that is another possibility. Oh, they've just gone behind a sort of dip. And yes, this is really the best job. I feel very privileged to be able to see this happening right in front of me. They are still tumbling, but we don't have the best view of them. They're just sort of behind an embankment, if you like. Can you hear their tusks clashing? I can still hear it. I'm not sure we're going to get a better view than this. I think they have sort of taken the wrestling match to the other side of this embankment. And there's actually a young antelope that has just walked right past them and came for a drink just on the shore here. Look at that. You are brave, Water Bucky. Not bothered by the hippos or elephants at all. Well, everybody, I do think this fight is probably over. So well, maybe not over, but it's definitely, they are going their separate ways now. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Do search SafariLive on YouTube and you can continue watching the rest of the drive with us. So thank you very much for your comments and questions. just exhausted after just watching these two, and they are going their separate ways now. So we might hang out here a little bit longer just to see if any sort of more things happen as the sun is beginning to go down. But for now, let's go across to Tristan, who I believe has another large animal.
Well, I'm feeling a lot like the elephants right now, and not because I've been pushing Davy around, but because we've been going around in circles, because basically we're trying to find Kalamba, and we found very fresh tracks for her. She visited Guaripan at some point during this afternoon while we've been out and about. By the looks of things, it looks as though it went over my vehicle tracks, drank, and then she's left again. So now I'm trying to figure out where she's gone. So we kind of just driving around in the hope that we'll pick her up somewhere. I lost the track on a very, very hard section of road. It looked like she went over into the block, which is very possible. I mean, she might have just now gone for a bit of a walk around. And so we did a big loop, Cheetah Cut Line, along the sort of Fire Break Road. And now we're going back on Hippo Pools Road just to see if she's popped out anywhere this side. The last track looks like it's going over Hippo Pools Road towards sort of Cheetah Cut Line side, but I couldn't see anything coming out. It's not to say she hasn't crossed. The tracks in places are almost invisible. It's really tricky to see them. After this rain, there's a nice kind of shine on the road, and not too many vehicles have been out and about. There's no vehicles from Djuma. There's only one landowner from Buffelshoek and Tortured, and then, well, just us. So very few cars are driving around, which is making it quite tricky because, you know, the more cars that drive around, the more the roads get churned up and the dustier they become. And the softer the soil becomes, and the easier it is to then spot a track from a mile away. But at the moment, that's not the case. All the roads are fairly kind of, what would you call them, hard and shiny, and so tracks are a lot more difficult to sort of make out on the road. You kind of struggle to actually see them. And I was showing David earlier is that these tracks are big and beautiful and bright, and then all of a sudden you just get to a point and they just disappear. And even though they're there, and if you look really closely, you can kind of just see them, but otherwise it's so difficult. And driving in a car, you're going to struggle. Now, I checked all of this section by foot, well, pretty much up to about here, and I didn't find any tracks coming this way. So I have a sneaky suspicion she just popped over the road and crossed on that little hard section and is lying somewhere in this thicket, in this greenery. I mean, you can see what it looks like. It's not exactly bright and sort of open and easy to spot a little camouflaged cat like Kalamba. So, you know, we're going to have our work cut out for us a little bit. You can even see on the road here, even though I've walked here, you can hardly see my footprints, let alone a nice soft padded kind of foot of a leopard. So it's going to be a bit on the tricky side, finding where exactly she's gone. There's also a hyena that has walked in amongst this kind of area. She's on top of those, but still there's that kind of tricks you every now and then. And I'll actually show you her tracks now because we're coming up to where I last had them. And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to kind of see them quite clearly. I'm also convinced that at some point we're going to come back to this pan and she's going to be sitting here again. Maybe she just decided she's going to watch us from afar first before she decides what she's going to do. Exactly, Debbie. If she doesn't want to be seen, we're not going to see her, exactly like you've said. So I want to show you what her tracks look like and why it's so difficult at this time of the year. We often talk about difficulties of tracking at this time of the year. And so basically, if you look down this road, kind of this section here, you're going to see a whole bunch of little striped marks that I've made with my foot as we've walked along. But that's where the tracks are. So you can see that little stripe there. Do you see just in front of it, there's a few little kind of marks there. It almost looks like a tire track. So that's where there is a track. There's a helicopter that's about to come over, so you'll hear a lot of noise. It's the anti-poaching chopper that is out and about. And so those tracks there are coming up slowly along, and the last track is in an area which is very tricky to see. So go up a little bit for me, Dave. Now I've got to work out exactly where you are in relation. There it is. So straight in the middle. That's right there is the last track. And you see just the edge of her foot, her pad there, and her toes. So that is her last track that I can find. Then it just gets too hard and I can't actually see where she's gone from there. So we're going to try and scratch around and see if she's not somewhere here. And we'll just do some loops, and I bet you if we come back here eventually, we might get her either here or at Buffelshoek Dam. That's the plan anyway. And so we're going to try our luck. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you up to Kenya with somebody who hasn't got to worry about tracking, because he's found what he's looking for, and that is David.
Very good. Buffelshoek Dam, you might get there, and maybe if you're lucky, get a cat drink. And I think I'm much luckier here because I left the Owino Pride and I decided to come search for my favorite lions. And I'm talking about the Sausage Tree Pride, and that is one of the youngsters of the Sausage Tree Pride. And this is an odd one compared to the new youngsters that just came in the Pride. And there we are. They made a kill. We are guessing this 2 days ago. And for those of you who could be a bit squeamish, this could be a bit disturbing. You may choose not to watch, or maybe switch to a different channel, or switch off and come back later. But yes, this is unfortunately or fortunately how it is out here in the wilderness. Lions being carnivores, they'll have unfortunately or fortunately bring someone down for them to survive. Now this to me looks like a huge male buffalo that they could have brought down 48 hours ago. And it reminds me of a particular clan of hyenas that we call the Happy Zebra clan. And when I was asking the researchers who have been working on those hyenas that way, they told me they found that the hyenas had brought down a zebra that still was smiling like this buffalo we just saw here. I mean, to me, this buffalo, he's still got his teeth out, and to me that's a huge smile, and that's how they ended up calling that clan of hyenas the Happy Zebra clan. Not sure how happy this buffalo was when he was brought down by these lions. And for those of you who could be joining us now, the pride here is the Sausage Tree Pride. Now, the latest mother to have cubs is that lady there. The last I saw her, and this is just about a week ago, because they had gone missing for quite some time. She had 4 cubs. What I'm seeing now are 3 cubs. Not sure that's very good news, because 2 weeks ago, those are the other 2. Alice, good question, and you're asking, has Kingtail brought her cubs out? Not yet, Alice, not yet. We are all waiting, and I think we could be going to the 2nd week now, Alice. And Kingtail, I have no doubt before the end of this week, she'll bring them out. But as it is now, she has not done that. Of course, they're too young, and if you have always been following us, 2 weeks ago, or rather 10 days ago or so, I said I found out the den of Kingtail and her cubs, and I could overhear the cubs. So she hasn't brought them out as yet, and all of us are still waiting. Now, the one you see there, that one's called Mitty, and this is the mother who brought in her cubs now, going to over a month now. And as I said earlier, I have counted 3 out of the last 4 that I saw. Not very good news, because some 2.5 weeks ago, she had lost one for 2 days, and then she came back, and then, she got reunited with the mother. Now, this lion here belongs to a coalition that we call the Ondonyo Pack, but his back left leg doesn't look to be in good shape. Not sure it has a sprain of some kind. Not sure it might have picked that sprain when bringing down this buffalo, because buffaloes are very dangerous animals, even for lions to hunt. They hunt them with a lot of caution, and lions have been known to be hurt by the buffaloes, either by their horns when they're trying to bring them down. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, should you have any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to send them through #SafariLive, because personally now I have a little question to this lioness here that we call Mitty. Who is your 4th cub? 2 weeks ago you lost one, But not for long. It was for 2 days. And then my friend Isaac, found you had reunited with the fourth cab one of those evenings there, which was very good news for us. And not sure the cab that was missing is the one that I'm seeing there behind you, because she looked a little bit dark. She looked smallish, and even when it came to play mode, she was not as playful as the other three. But now it's like she is back, and one of those three that look to be in good spirit and full of energy is the one that's missing. Well, I'm yet to know. We're staying here. I'm not going anywhere until I know that, yes, it's 3 and not 4. And if it's 3, where is the other one? One of the reasons for lions cub to disappear is abandonment. We have seen many times females abandoning their cubs for reasons maybe known better to them. If, for example, they fall in a ditch or in a hole, they may not waste so much time. If she got other 3 that are out, she'll concentrate on those 3, as the case happened 2 weeks ago. Sometimes a mistake could happen, and maybe a predator like a leopard would come, just grab one, or maybe an eagle, a snake like an African rock python, who knows, a hyena. It could be anything. It could be anything. But I'm ruling out hunger, because sometimes they have been known to die of starvation, but not these ones. The lion heart, that's a very good question, and you're wondering whether the limping male has a name. Yes, him and another male, I'm not sure it is a brother or first cousin. We call them the Ondonyo Pike. You might have missed that before when I was describing him of his walking condition. He belongs to a coalition that we call the Ondonyo Pike. And before they took over here, Lionheart, there was another particular coalition of males here that were 3. There was one big boy that we called Kipuli. Kipuli was a big male, and he had been joined by 2 youngsters from this particular pride, and they formed such a strong coalition. We want to take you back there, the Lionheart, to see truly that male has such a big heart, and you can see the strength of him dragging that carcass, because what you want to do is to reach maybe the very soft flesh. Maybe he is looking for some, fillet, which is good and much softer. So yeah, he got a brother or a first cousin, and it's not very far from here, and we'll call them the Ondonyo Pike. So Kipuli, I'm not sure, Lionheart, you're watching yesterday. Yesterday, after about 3 months, I was able to find Kipuli, which is my favorite male in the Mara. Giraffe Girl, you're asking about the 2 males that maybe could that cross teen here. If that's your question, Giraffe Girl, well, I saw them 2 days ago, and those 2 males are nomadic, and I think they're coming from Tanzania in Serengeti National Park. I saw them, and they had brought down a buffalo by themselves. I haven't seen them since, but last night on my way home, I saw 2 males in the grass, and it was so dark, and we were watching them in the infrared, and the only thing could see was the face that they laid down. I guess they could have been the one. And Giraffe Girl, what I'm thinking of those 2 males now, there's a very big area between the Quichua males, I'm sure you have an idea where the Quichua males are, and the Scarface male and his brothers. There's an open area where we normally see the Mogoro Pride. Mogoro Pride are the 3 girls that we see every now and then. That open area, I would say, Giraffe Girl, has not been claimed positively by any coalition of males. And I think, not sure, I could be wrong, Giraffe Girl, I think those 2 males, one that have half a tail, would be wanting to claim that territory. And just keep an eye, we'll keep you posted. If they do, they've been hanging there for quite some time, and they might be keeping that territory now. Now, I really need to know where the 4th cub is, because Mitty had 4 cubs, and I only see 3 now. And the one that's standing there walking, that female, you see she got a bit of a limp. That one is called Limpy. So we got Mitty, that one walking there is called Limpy, and she has 1 cub. Initially she had 2. and we know their sex. They're two boys, they're males, could be 6 months, 5 months now, let me see. She got one now that is surviving. And again, just like the one that's missing here for Mitty, we do not know what happened to that one particular cub. I mean, it could be anything again, but she got one now that have done very well, and we think he will make it. It's a boy. Then there's another female here. The two cubs, if you look like the one, I'm going to show it to you, two cubs, and both of them are doing very well, and I think they will survive. Now, see the one standing there? That's the cub for Mitty. And then there's another, for Limpy, and then there are two others that are also two brothers. Apparently, they're two males. That's one of them, and they belong to another female that we have not named as yet. And I think that's the female that's eating there. Now, this pride normally has 5 females. So the 3 that you see here, one that I met on my way here, and the other one is the famous Kingtail, which I think, should she come here, she'll come, grab some meat very quickly, and go back to her cubs. Not sure you can hear Mitty calling her cubs. This boy is very hungry. This is fantastic, and I think you can hear on your pike male tearing off the meat. Thank you, Lou, that you can hear him eating the final control. You can see the sheer strength of male lions. And so interesting, when eating, they'll always make sure the girls are not eating. You see what he did a few seconds ago when, he forced one of those females out. But apparently, the males are always able to tolerate the cubs, but not the females. That's very funny. Thank you, Archie, for that. You can see got the cub eating on the other side, and same spot, there's a female feeding there, and he went, get out of here. And of course, the females know that is the protocol, and that's the rule here of the table manners when males are involved during a meal. So the other male, my guess is must have eaten a lot because he's not anywhere to be, well, not his, I saw him is about 20, 30 meters away in the grass, but I think he's either too full and not bothered, to be eating with the brother or the first cousin here. Coalitions are always formed of brothers or very closely related males. For now, the females in the cubs is just to play, turn around. Vicky, very good question. You'd like to know how long or what's the age for cubs to start eating meat. Well, you see some books saying 2 months, 3 months in average, but out of my experience, Vicky, I've seen cubs 6 weeks eating small pieces of meat. So I'll not be surprised. These ones have not yet. The ones you see here, definitely not the one eating that we think is about 5 months old, but see those two player ones there, Vicky? They're going about the 5th week now, so they have not started eating meat as yet. And once they start, we'll let you know. But out of my experience, the bush here, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I've seen cubs trying to tear, meat. They got small teeth, and they can chew. Not chew because, lions don't chew any meat. You can see them trying to cut some meat and swallowing it. Hello there, you must be having a very good bond of a mom and a son. And I'm saying this mom and son because that youngster there, it's a boy. Is that Limpy? And with his young male, about 5-6 months old. So unfortunately, he lost a brother where we have always said nobody knows exactly what happened to the brother, but that's how life goes out here in the bush. We have always had our own theories. Now, these 2 cubs here and the third one, there were 4 when I last saw them 1 week ago, or 6 days precisely ago. And I have so many questions. I'm not worried as yet because 2 weeks ago, we missed 1 cub completely for 2 days. And then Isaac found it, I think, on the 3rd day. So even now, I'm not worried. Chances are, my guess is, she or he stayed back with Kingtail. Kingtail is one of the lionesses that's not here, which is the oldest lioness. And maybe, who knows? she told the mother Miti she can stay back if she cannot keep the pace to go where the kill is, because from here to the den of Kinky, I'm estimating to be about 2 miles. Archie, do you reckon about 2 miles? Yeah, Archie says about 2 miles. That's where the den for Kingtail is. And that's quite a distance for cubs of this size to walk through the grass, through the boulders, through the rocks, the dangers they would face along the way, leopards, hyenas, snakes, they could get snake bites, even if not big snakes, like pythons that could eat them. Eagles flying on the air. We have seen martial eagles trying to sneak on cubs. So it could be anything. And I would say she or he, let me call it now, it is stayed back with Kingtail, because Kingtail is the only female that is missing here. I met the other one, and it was not Kinky, because Kingtail, you will never miss to know her, because she got that knot or split on her tail. Riza, great comment in saying these ladies look beautiful. And not sure whether you've been following us, just to let you know, this is my favorite pride. Nothing against the boys, Riza, the girls more so than anything else, because how these girls survive, they do something or some hunting that is very unique to them, because they are experts in killing buffaloes. Not many lions will always do what they do without the help of a male. But the sausage girls, to me, I would say they have mastered that art. They're just so good into bringing buffalo. In 2 weeks' time, I would say this is their second buffalo. And apparently, a male, not a female. So you'd imagine how dangerous it is, not only bringing down a female, a fully grown male buffalo. Once in a while, of course, being clever girls, they have always been known to look at the very old ones, to look at those which could be injured, those could be, lagging behind the main herd, and then, of course, ambush them. Lions are very clever, and this particular pride have been known to do that, and they've been doing that for a very long time. Just to enjoy themselves, and they have eaten pretty well. And a male like this is eating here, it could comfortably eat about, 20% of its body weight, you would imagine, in one sitting. And that's why after this, they'll go for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe without another kill, with their very slow digestion, being very efficient in energy conserving. Hello there. So that is a boy. We have been able to identify the sex of these 3 big cubs here. That's one of them, then the other 2. And one of them belongs to the female that we call Limpy. And I cannot wait to get Kingtail to bring her cubs and introduce them to the pride, which she has not done. Look at that one. What a good jump. See the tolerance of the male with the cubs and not the females. One female will try to come close there. You'll see the difference. The ball game will be very different. How lovely is this? Maybe I might request all of you to tweet me one word. What do you think of this particular sighting? What do you feel by saying this? One word, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. We have to wait maybe for the vultures to come at one point, hyenas to come at one point. But the last I saw of an interaction between these lions and hyenas, it was a big fight. And it's the day they had tried to hunt a zebra and they missed that zebra, so they were not very happy. And the hyena thought maybe the lions had brought down a zebra, and they tried to come close to find out if they could sneak or anything. And that hyena was taught a lesson, to remember for the rest of her life. So there's one lioness there. She's trying to sneak. Let's see whether the male is going to react to that. I feel very happy, and I'm sure you'll be sending your tweets, as I said. And again, any questions and comments are always very welcome. I'll be sitting here for a couple of more minutes, waiting to see if this missing cub will show up. But in the meantime, we'll take you down to South Africa to Lauren to see how her afternoon or evening is going.
What am I up to? Well, I'm still reveling in that absolutely amazing elephant sighting. It was magical, wonderful. Just, there's actually no words, and that is why we are out here, to share all these moments with you. And it was just very special to see that happen between those two young males at the dam. So we did leave Chitwa. We left all the sort of testosterone-driven young males to do their thing. There's only so much of that we can deal with. And we are just driving on. Now, we don't have a plan. Sometimes I like to just not have a plan. Same with when I'm diving on Dive Live. Sometimes if you get too focused on the plan, you actually miss what is going on around you. So we've checked quite a few water holes, actually, and Tristan has checked a water hole. So we're now at Treehouse, and I just want to take a little peek in and see if anything is happening. You never know. It is reaching my favourite time of night when that sun is starting to set. And very often when I'm on my phone to my mum, I'll say, Mum, you've never seen a sunset until you've seen an African sunset. I thought I had seen the most beautiful sunsets in my life, but really, it's nothing compared to when you're in Africa. So let's take a little look at Treehouse. And then BK is going to put that beautiful, slowly starting to set sun on for you. And you can see how glorious it really is. It's still quite high in the sky. We've got a little bit to go. But you can see it's getting much lower, which makes it breathable. So this is kind of approaching what we call the golden hour, if you like. And this is when the animals like leopards and things like that start to get a bit more active, because it's getting cooler, it's getting slightly darker. Not darker, but it's not the intensive heat of midday between that really hot window of 12 till 4, if you like. So it's just starting to become a little bit more easier. And this is the hour of the cats. This is when lions will start to wake up. This is when leopards will start to be on the move. So this is when I can actually breathe and maybe not sweat so much. So it is absolutely delightful at this time of day. So we just thought we would share that sun with you. And as it sets, I'm sure you're going to get more beautiful views of it. But for now, we will be on our way. Treehouse is very quiet. So we are going to head in roughly the area where Tingana was. Now, I say I have no plan, I don't, but that's the area that I just want to be in and start to check as we are approaching that golden hour. So yes, that is the plan. We're just going to drive slowly and head over, and I've kind of been keeping my eyes out for hyenas too. I know I mention this on every drive. I feel like I'm becoming repetitive, but yeah, I'm always like, is there a hyena? And we just don't seem to be able to see them. And of course, we do know that we found Tingana using the drone the other morning, and he had a kill. He had a huge Inyala bull, a really, really large one, and it was stolen indeed by the hyenas. We were able to find the tracks of the hyenas and the drag mark, where the hyena has obviously somehow managed to pull this huge Inyala bull right across the sand to a safe place where it could seal it. So these hyenas are around. They're just deciding not to give me any love. But Valentine's Day is approaching, so maybe the hyenas will pop out and say, Lauren, you know, we do love the fact that you love us. You never know. You never know what's going to happen here. So we're heading north a little bit, and hopefully we will find some interesting action. It does become a lot harder when the vegetation gets thick, as many of you do know. It really doesn't become that easy to find things, especially when it is so hot. But we're getting rainfall at night. We went through a really hot period of no rain whatsoever. Did you find a track there, BK? No. Monique is asking, am I planning on going diving anytime soon? I saw BK hanging off the car. I thought he'd maybe seen a track that I had missed. Potentially. Hopefully. I shan't say any more. I will be going on leave soon, going home, doing my duty as an auntie of twins that I dreamt the hyenas ate, which is a whole different story. But yes, hopefully I will be back in the water soon. Let's just watch this space, Monique. You never know. I do miss the water, of course I do, but honestly, I have absolutely 100% fallen in love with the bush, and the amount we're all learning on a daily basis is just, it's phenomenal. We're all still learning. We all sit around the dinner table and just discuss things, discuss ideas, theories, possibilities, studies, and we're all still teaching each other things day in, day out. So, and that is the beauty of being out here in the bush. And I think many of you caught us on a train and drive the other day with Mr. Hendry himself. So we're always out, we're always learning and trying to get as much information in as we can. I don't see a single track for anything on this road. Anything. Where is everything hiding? Even the elephants. We've had an elephant type of day today. It was a very elephanty morning, and it obviously turned into a very elephanty afternoon. Oh, that sun's starting to go down now. It's going to be a beautiful sunrise. Once it gets a little bit lower, I promise I will put it back on the camera for you so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. Okay. So we are actually on a road called Philemon's Cut Line. And this is actually the road where we last saw Hosanna. And it was with me, myself and David. We were on a drive and we had Hosanna right in this block here. We had a wonderful morning with him. He was actually spotted on the drone. And then we followed him through, just being his usual plonky self, jumping around, rolling around, springing in his step. And this is exactly where we last saw him. Oh, hello, we have more elephants. Man, elephants everywhere. Not sure. Oh, there's a little baby one. Okay, that's going to be a terrible view. Let me see if I can try and get this little baby elephant for you. They're just so adorable. Okay, there's more coming. There we go. I'll just turn off to keep the peace. Hello, elephants. So it looks like, oh, there's elephants on both sides of us here, so we're not going anywhere for now, but it does look like Tristan has a really awesome surprise for you all.
Well, indeed, it took a bit of work and a bit of tracking, and probably one of my better tracks that I've done in a while on very hard substrates to have eventually spotted that in the block in very long grass. So there's the little Princess Tlalama, who I was very surprised was very good on foot. She did not even run. She just popped her little head up and her little ears poked out of the grass, and I saw her and then just pretended like I hadn't actually seen her properly and just walked kind of past her and around back to the car, and she was absolutely fine, and she's now just sitting, taking it very easy. But glad we found her. You can see where we are at the moment. The grass is excessively long and the bush very dense, and luckily she's lying in just a little open spot in this kind of area, because otherwise there was no chance that I would spot her. I mean, you can see when David goes wide, that spotted coat just blends in completely, and so if she had been anywhere to the sort of behind her and to my left, it's so dense and so thick with bush willows and long grass that the chances of spotting her would have been quite slim. But at least we've managed to kind of find her, which is always good. And she looks good. She looks as though there might even be a bit of roundness to that tummy, or it could be. It's tricky to see through the long grass, but it does look like there's a little bit of roundness there, doesn't it? And I wonder if maybe she's had a small little meal. She's walked quite far today. She's walked all over the top of Ali's tracks coming up Torchwood, and then kind of come to the pan and had a drink, and then moved off into this block where she's had a bit of a lie down. Now, you'll find that she's panting, obviously, because of the heat, much like what Tingana was doing yesterday, same thing. And if she has had a bit of a meal, that will just obviously be a part and parcel of it. But like I say, I'm super thrilled that she behaved the way she did on foot, because often Tlalama runs when you track her. If Tandi's not around, she will kind of just try and disappear and move off. But today, she's decided to just kind of sit and watch me, and it's good kind of progress, because if she's going to stick around here, that's exactly what we want. Tracking a leopard on foot, you don't really want them to run away, because to try and relocate the leopard in this area, when you go back and fetch a car and come back, is very tricky if they run. Whereas if they kind of just move a little bit, or they just pop their heads up, just enough for you to see them, then that always helps to be able to spot them. And I think it's the flies more than anything that probably alerted me to her, because she was shaking her head just like that when she kind of stood up to look at me, and then a little bit of movement kind of gave her away, but she's looking pretty, isn't she? She's kind of, I don't know, she's growing and getting bigger, and her face is looking more adult-like by the day, and I believe lots of you are excited to see her. Oh, well, I'm very excited to see her. There's nothing like going around and around tracking and knowing that there's a cat somewhere and checking for tracks and not finding anything, and then eventually finding her in a thicket. Is Tandy also here? The way she's moving, she's kind of chuffing a little bit. And she's moving away now. Maybe she thinks that I'm still around, and that's why she's kind of doing that. I don't know, because she's moving away from the direction that I came. I'm not 100% sure if that's maybe why she's doing it, but you can see how quickly she disappears in this. It's almost impossible. We would never have spotted her if we weren't able to track, and that just shows you how good it is to be able to track in an area and off-road, because otherwise there would be no chance. But that tummy does look quite full, so I think she's been catching small things. Wouldn't be surprised she's been catching little mongoose or maybe even things like birds over the last few days, and that's what's keeping her tummy nice and full. Right, now she's kind of off to my front left, so we're going to try and kind of follow her through here and hopefully get a better view at some point. You can see she's obliterated by grass, and in the meantime, let's send you back up to David with the sausages, who I hope has got a much better view than we do of little Kalamba.
Very well done, Tristan, for having spotted Kalamba. Do anything you can and hold that princess of Juba. Well, I'm here holding the king of the savannah of the Ondonyo pike male, which has joined the sausage tree pride on this dinner for today. Now, what you see on one side is female feeding, and the other side, of course, is the male that forms the coalition of the Ondonyo pike. And this buffalo, they must have brought him down, I would say, 2 days ago. Now, you might have seen a huge difference in what you are seeing with Tristan Kalamba there in South Africa, because my lions may look different from the normal. Here in Kenya, we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa, and it's already dark. So we are using an infrared camera, which enables us to have wonderful sightings of these animals without interfering with their behavior even in the darkness. So on top there, on top of that termite mound, there's a female that's lying down there. This particular pride consists of 5 members, 5 girls. This is one of them. And the good news is, when you're watching Kalamba with Tristan, their mother or the leader of this particular pride that is called Kingtail, she just arrived in style. But now, earlier I was saying the protocol here is for the males to eat first, and when they are eating, they may tolerate a little bit the cubs, but not the adults. So she could be the one who has said to join. But if you look at her, she is eating like crouching, not eating with a lot of confidence. She got cubs. We do not know as yet how many they are. But one thing I know for a fact, I know where they are because I saw, or, I confirmed her den, like I would say a week ago or so. But I think those cubs are still very tiny. She has not been able to bring them out. And when that will happen, it will be my biggest joy, because, this pride now will be full of cubs. There's one other female here called Mitty with 4 cubs. Flying high, I missed your one-word tweet, but I'm sure it must be something cool. I'm sure Lou will give it to me again, but I'm sure it must be a great word to tweet on this particular pride. Hungry, that's a great tweet. Sorry, that's what I thought. But is she hungry or hungry? Hungry, that's a great tweet. Thank you very much. This male is hungry, because not sure whether you were watching us our morning here. I'm not sure what it was, what time it was where you are, but this male in the morning was still eating. Not sure this very same one, because he also got a brother that, or a male pride partner. Not sure if it was this one or the other one, but yes, he must be a very hungry male, because even me, since I got here, I would say, 45 minutes ago, so he has been eating non-stop. Funny, you're having a break. Excellent. Where do you go from here? Mark your territory? Typical, I'm not surprised. Well done, we agree, you're in charge here. Just meet that female there. Now, yesterday, okay, now the females might now try and sneak in because, come on, let the girls eat now. You have been eating a lot. Now, that is Kinktail on the left. Yes, you see that one there? Look at her tail. Thank you, Archie. You see the shape it takes like a snake? You see it got a split? Ha. Either she's asking permission from the male. Can I have some meat? You know, I have calves and the calves are yours? Yeah, I think the body language there is asking for permission to eat. And I think permission granted. All right, male, step aside. Go lay down. Go get yourself some water. Kinktail, we want you to eat. And more so, me, personally, I want you to eat, beautiful girl. Yes. Go ahead. You know you have cubs, and your cubs are the youngest. And I'm sure, or we all know you're still suckling those cubs. You need lots of energy. Those cubs need lots of milk. So you need to eat. And as I said, the body language of Kinktail with that male was like, can I please go have some meat? And the male said, yes. And there, excuse me, Kinktail is deciding which part to start with because she needs to eat and go back to the cubs. I gave an estimate of where the den is from where we are. Is about 1.5 miles to 2 miles. So, which is nothing out of the ordinary. She needs to eat and go back to keep her cubs warm and, of course, to suckle them. So one of the females there had taken a crouching position to eat so that the male could not see her eating. Come on, Kinktail. You see why we call her Kinktail? Look at her tail. See the knot or the split on that tail? Cappuccino, how are you? And you'd like to know if lions get or animals get sick by eating old carcasses? Ideally not. Most, if not all, animals out here have wonderful digestion systems. And I'll not be surprised if these lions here eat. Did you hear that? So the females are trying to put an order there on who goes to eat first. So that really happens. They got wonderful digestion systems and they have got some mechanism in their bodies that would be able to deal with anything, say like bacteria or any amoeba that would affect them. So ideally they have no issues. We have seen even some of the animals like hyenas and vultures eating very old carcasses, very, very old, and they still have no issues. So this to me, for these lions, it's still very fresh. So if they killed cappuccino, say 2 days ago, I'm not surprised they might eat it for the next 4 days and it'll be fine. The only thing they might end up doing, if a lot of flesh will be left in it, is to try and drag it and put it in some shade of some sort, or get some swamp or some water where they can keep it to keep it fresh. But I'm talking of 5 lionesses, 2 males, 3 almost half-grown cubs. I'm sure by tomorrow this buffalo will be gone. So let's have a look and see who is on the table now, or if that male has come back. But I think now it's time for the girls and the young cubs. It's one of the young cubs belonging to a female called Limpy. Zokalayo, sorry, Zulu, I missed that one. Have I ever seen what? If you'd be happy to get it back to me. I'm still having a little bit of issues with my comps, and I think this lioness is pretty loud. I'll be happy to get it again. So hopefully the question will be able to come through. Either comms are disappearing somewhere. It's time for these lionesses now to fill up their tummies. Very good, Lou. Finally, the comms have come through. I this is the location where we are, and I think the question was, have I ever seen a fully grown lion with, or still holding spots, even in altitude? Thank you very much, Lou, for that. And I would say no. Ideally, what happens, all lions, all cubs, when they're born the spots, all of them, tawny, black, like sometimes looking like rosettes, all of them when they're born. But as they grow, they disappear and they fade out. The older they get, the quicker they fade out. So it's very unusual. Not sure Archie have seen that. Archie tells me no. I think not me or Archie have seen a fully grown lion that will still have the spots. They always have them when they're young, and anything after 3 months, you can see clearly them fading away. For those of you who could be joining us now, we are already in infrared because it's rather dark here in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and this is the sausage tree pride. And I think they're very, very hungry. I got one tweet one that said hungry, which really fitted these particular lions. Well, I might spend a few more minutes here, but in the meantime, I think Tristan has been able to catch up with that princess of Joma.
Well, as you can see, we're just staring at spots at the moment. It is seriously difficult to see her from when you look afar like this. It really isn't easy, and now she's gone even flatter. It is impossible. I mean, we're on top of her, essentially. We are, I would say, what do you reckon, Dave? 5 meters? 5 meters from where she is sitting right now, and that is the only visual we have got in this long grass. So it gives you an idea of just how hard it is to spot leopards at this time of the year. We often kind of talk about it, and it's difficult to show you guys how tricky it can be. If you drove past her now, unless she even if she put her head up, you probably would never see her. Of course, one, because she's too far into the block to see, but if this was right next to the road, you still wouldn't see her. It's just incredible how well that sort of spotted coat camouflages in this summer green grass. Everyone always thinks that they're going to stand out against the green, but they really do disappear with all the shadows and various other things. Now, I'm pretty sure she's not going to lie for long because, as you can see, there is a bit of movement in that long grass. It might not look like much, but there's a paw that's going every now and then, and her ears are twitching, her tummy's moving, and it's all because there is so many flies around this evening. I was saying it yesterday with Tingana that we had a lot of insects around, mosquitoes and flies, and it's the same thing again this afternoon. Not so many mosquitoes today, but serious amount of flies that's causing a bit of havoc for her, and so she seems to be quite uncomfortable. She's been trying to catch them, and she lies down and then sort of bolts up again. But I mean, that is not a very good visual on a leopard. Unfortunately, it is part and parcel though of summer kind of conditions, and like I say, it's why we struggle to find leopards some days in summer. A lot of you must think that in winter, we find them all around, and it sort of seemingly looks easy, but in the summertime it becomes really difficult. And if I walked here now, there's no ways I would have spotted her in this particular spot, unless I'd walked right towards this bush, which I never would have done. And I'll tell you why. Dave, if you can come out a little bit for me, and I'll show you kind of when you're tracking animals, there's ways that you do things. Now, if you have a look at this kind of section here, you've got this bush that runs there in a V-like structure like this. Now, when you're tracking, you'll never really walk into a dead kind of old cave like this because you wouldn't expect an animal to still walk. What you would have done is probably walked through that gap or round that green tree, but it's probably through that gap or on this side, round that side. And if you had taken either one of those routes, if she had laid down like she is now, you would have seen her at all. And so that's why tracking can be tricky at this time. In winter, that's all open and the footprints are really easy to see. So you would have seen her footprints going there. But in this time of the year, you don't get that footprint. And so what you're doing is you're trying to pick a path and a way that you think an animal is going to move. And now in summer, a lot of the time with a leopard like Lalamba particularly, tracking her, and Tingana is also one that I would do this with when I track him, is you track on a path to the nearest mound, and wherever that path runs, the closest mound you see from the path, go and check that termite mound, and invariably you end up with the track on that mound somewhere. And the nice thing about termite mounds is generally they're not as grassy. There's a little bit of sort of soil on the, dust almost, if you want to call it, on top, and that allows a little track to be made And so that's where I would always where I check when I'm tracking in thickets like this. In the summer, in the winter, you almost track for track because it's very difficult to lose the track on a very sandy substrate like we have here in the Sabi Sands. But that's just a kind of bit of a lesson on why it would have been tricky to have spotted her where she is now. Where she was when we first found her, much easier, because I went towards the termite mound, saw her just off from the termite mound, and I think she probably was on the termite mound at some point. Maybe she heard me coming and went down and lay close to it. And that gives you an idea of kind of how we sort of think about it when we're walking out here. Is tracking into a little sort of point like this would be, you'd very seldom do it unless you've got the footprint that you're on. There's no actual clear path that comes here. There's just gaps between the trees that you might utilize to walk through, but even then it can be tricky. Now, some leopards like Lamula was one that's done it. Hosanna has done it. Some leopards won't move when you get this close. So you can walk the distance that I am away from Kalamba now, and they'll just stay right where they are. Other leopards like Tundi, Tingana, Anderson, they would get up and move and start in Kalamba prior to today, which might have just been a once-off kind of thing, get up and move, and so you see them from a little bit further away. But some of the leopards you'd get to this distance, and they will just go as low as they can and try and hide as much as possible in the hope that all you're going to do is just go straight past them and not even notice that they're there. And it works a lot of the time. I remember once tracking Lamula on Hoffman's, and he was mating with Intima at the time, and we walked along, and the track went off the road, and we followed the track off the road in a very similar situation like this. In fact, the bush looked very kind of similar to what we're seeing now, and basically what had happened was we walked pretty much like I was explaining to you on the right side of this little thicket, and the tracks went past there, and we kind of walked around that and couldn't find the tracks, and we kind of did some loops around, my tracker and myself, and we came back past this bush again, found the tracks again, and walked and couldn't find where they went. And as we looped around the bush once more and we came a little bit more kind of direct towards the bush, so Lamula burst out from the little thickets right at our feet and ran off. So they do hide sometimes. They will sit just like this and just go down. If they feel like they're in a good place and that you haven't seen them, better to kind of stay hidden and wait for you to go past than to try and alert you to their presence. And so it's a bit of an unsettling feeling when that does happen, because you realize just how camouflage they can be and how effective they are when it comes to trying to hunt things and trying to catch things. So James, as far as I understand it, that study is by no means over. The scat collecting and the paternity testing is something that they want to keep running for a long period of time, and to keep going with it and to start getting to the point where they pretty much every leopard that is into the Sabi Sand that goes to independence is in some way tested, which will be really amazing if they can get that database correctly sorted out. So I do think that it is carrying on running. We certainly are going to try and collect as much scat as we can from all the members that are missing, particularly little Klalamba, Hotsana, Kuchave. These are all animals that we want to try and kind of collect as much as possible. But it's quite amazing. There were some figures that were on that document that I must try and find it and try and kind of, I've got the document somewhere here, but I wanted to read. There was some part of it that was absolutely insane to me. Here we go. So in 2018, I'm going to read this to you guys because it's quite long. There were a total of 31,740 sightings of 23 species that were logged on Panthera, which is crazy to me. 86 individual leopards were seen in 2018. This excludes dependent cubs. So that's 86 adult or sub-adult leopards that are independent of their mothers, which is pretty amazing. And we're seen on no less than 9,969 times during the course of 2018 in the Sabi Sands alone. So that is almost 10,000 leopard sightings from the Sabi Sands, which to me is mind-blowing when you think about it. They were saying now in the time that they've been doing Panthera, they now have over 80,000 leopard sightings in the database, which is the most extensive data set ever compiled on this species, which is quite amazing. 29 new litters in 2018 for leopards in the Sabi Sands, taking the total number of litters on record to 405. And they now know that on 798 individual leopards tracked over 40 years, 1,328 leopard kills comprising of 34 different species ranging from a gerbil to a subadult male kudu were recorded in 2018. So 34 different prey species in 2018 and 1,328 leopard kills through the course of the year. And that takes the total number of leopard kills recorded to 10,433. Isn't that amazing? I think that was very, very, very cool to read. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on and on and on and on and on, and there's lots of things. It seems like some of the stuff has been published already, but incredible to be able to get access to that kind of data. And so, James, the answer to your question is I do not think they're going to stop anytime soon. I think Guy is probably in all likelihood wanting to keep this going for as long as possible, and why not? He's got a really kind of unique system in that the Sabi Sands is a place where there is a lot of guides that are around which have access to animals that are fairly relaxed and are seen daily, and animals that can be recorded, and it can be real-time data collection daily, twice a day on the relaxed animals that are out here, which is, I mean, if you think about field work and the logistics of that, and having that at the disposal of researchers where they're not actually having to spend any money to try and get all of this stuff, bar a few laptops that have the Panthera system on it, it really is amazing. So I would be shocked if they were to stop the data collection of scat and everything else to do with not only leopard, but wild dog, ground hornbill, lions, pretty much everything. So the Panthera system, you can load anything really that is of study sort of interest, which is mostly the bigger animals. And I mean, Panthera itself is the system that you use is quite in depth. I mean, if you record a sighting, let's say of Tlalamba, so basically what you would do is you would find the map, you would drop the pin on the map as to where the sighting is. So it's even that accurate as to the guides pinning the exact locations of these animals. You'd pin it, it would then say, and you choose the leopard pin. It would then bring up a list of all the names of leopards within the Sabi Sand system. From there, you would then pick out Tlalamba. It would then say, is she by herself, essentially? If no, then if Tandi was here, let's say, you would say no, Tandi. Then it would say, is there a male present? So then you would say, if Tingana was here, yes or no. Is there a kill? What is the kill? What is the age of the kill? And is she mating? And any other general comments that you may have. Oh, and is there any other predator species with them? So is there hyena, other leopard, lion, whatever the case may be. So it's very specific data set that you give. Yeah, and it's amazing kind of thing that they record all of this data, and the fact that we're now starting to get information about it is quite amazing. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the fact that we've got a little bit of feedback for you. I know a lot of you have asked us to share it, and I said yesterday, and hopefully you guys can answer more people that ask about this on the various social media platforms, because it's difficult to get to everybody because people watch at different times. But that data is not ours to share or publicize. They will be published as scientific articles or journals, should we call it. And it's for those guys to be able to do that. It's not for us to, unfortunately, be able to share this. We can talk about it on Drive, sure, but we can't actually share the data sets until such time as they've done it. I'm pretty sure it's because of many sort of things that they're doing, and I'm sure a lot of them are writing papers and theses and all kinds of other things on it, and so better for them to share it. From what I read there, it looks like it has some of the kind of articles have been publicized. I don't think the paternity stuff has been done yet, because that's just the preliminary results for 2018. I think they want to do a little bit more stuff on it before they will release that. But as soon as it is released, then we'll certainly try and let you guys know. But amazing, to me anyway, that we have got that in-depth sort of record on leopard, which is deemed to be the shy, reclusive species. It must be more kind of data than they could ever wish for coming out of one single little area and reserve. Good. We'll keep with Tlalamba. Hopefully she's going to get up and go to Guaripan for a drink. I'm not so sure since she's already been during the course of today. But in the meantime, though, back to Lauren, who's continuing her afternoon of Ellie's.
And guess what I have got? I seem to not be able to drive anywhere today without coming across an elephant. So I present to you a very large, round bottom. just as we were going live, the elephant decided to present its bottom, which is fine. It is a very nice bottom. Now, we were going to go around quarantine because we're actually doing a little bit of an experiment, BK and I. We found a lot of tracks this morning around here for aardvarks and things like that. So we wanted to just go around quarantine as the sun was starting to set and just see what kind of animals were around. But of course, I just can't seem to escape the elephant. So we may as well just show you this beautiful elephant that has literally been picking up the grass with its tusks and whacking itself on the back. Now, elephants are such fascinating creatures, and I think I mentioned one time live on air that they're related to whales, and I think that got some people the wrong way. But what I actually meant was that their closest relatives are, of course, the manatee and the hyraxes. But in general, the diversions of cetaceans, now your cetaceans are your whales and dolphins, and then your pachyderms, which are your sort of, well, woolly mammoths and elephants, and then your sirenia, which is your manatees and dugongs, are actually all part of a much larger subclass of mammals called ungulates. So there is a relation there, but they are not, of course, directly related to whales. They're more closely related to manatees from the ocean. Oh, we've got a hyena, we've got a hyena, we've got a hyena. Can you hear the excitement of the voice? PK hyena. Hello, now. Have you came to say Happy Valentine's Day to me? Oh, who are you? Now, this looks like a male. And where exactly are you going? I am so happy right now. He's coming right towards the car. Hi, hyena. It's been a while. Now you can see it's sniffing, so it's obviously, now the sun is setting, it's very, very obviously now on the lookout for, well, dinner time. Now I think this could potentially be a hyena, excuse the antenna, called Fika. Now Fika has lots of dark spots and is very hairy, so I do think it is Fika. But I could be wrong. I will clarify that when we get a better view of the spot pattern. Now, it was not the best angle. Okay, sorry, I had to do that. I've been waiting to see a hyena. Now, where are you going? Now, we don't want to get too close. He's actually walking on the road. Hyenas are notorious for walking along the road, which makes it easier for us to find them. But they can get a bit spooked. So we're just going to get plenty of distance. It's up ahead. And see how the hyena was going... just smelling the air, trying to get a scent of anything, a carcass or a kill. Hyena's sense of smell is incredible. They can smell old kills, days old, for kilometres. What was that? Something just jumped out there. Now, this is the hour of the predators, but it's not the hour for us. Our eyesight, especially mine, doesn't work too well in this sort of dusk light. Now, can you see the hyena just up ahead? I'm going to give it plenty of space. Hi, Ina. Another terrible joke. I need to stop telling terrible jokes live on air. There we go. Hello. Now you can see it just skulking off. A hyena's walk is completely unmistakable. You cannot mistake that. Even when you see it on the thermal drone, you know 100% that it's a hyena. That sloping back walk. It's definitely a male, you can tell by the size. I think I just had confirmation that it's Fika, but I'll wait to hear that it was definitely Fika. I missed that. I'm just going to pick up again and follow the hyena. Now, very often when you follow hyenas, they lead you somewhere. They walk with a purpose. So very often, if you are able to keep up with them, they will actually take you to sometimes a leopard, sometimes the den, sometimes other hyenas. I know, imagine if they led us to the den. Imagine, oh, he's just walking along the path. And I often think about Plonk. I personally haven't seen Plonk since early December. I don't think Plonk will look like Plonk anymore. Okay. Okay, so we do have a hyena in front of us. And you can tell by my voice, I'm very, very excited right now. I believe it's a male. It looked a bit like Fika, but now I'm just looking at the backside. It's not really possible to identify from the bottom. Just slow down. Beaky can get close in there just before it walks off. Look at that sloping walk, that waggling tail. This hyena is on a mission. Where are you going? Are you going to lead us to a carcass? Are you going to lead us to the den? I'm so happy right now. I've had the most amazing drive with you all today. Hyena has topped it up. Topped it off. Yeah, topped it off. I don't want to lose sight of the hyena, but males do tend to be a little more skittish than the females. Just slightly, so I don't want to get too close, but I really, really do want to know where this hyena is going. For many of you who don't know, we did lose our Juma clan of, well, we didn't lose our Juma clan of hyenas, but they have moved off Juma, we believe. We're still trying to locate the den, and it's not proving successful. So to see this hyena right now is just awesome. And we just came across this road, didn't we, BK? I wonder where it's going. It's sniffing. I can actually hear it. I do have my ID kit on my phone. I'm very, very into the IDs of the hyena, and 90% sure it is Fika. But I will confirm, don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. But from this angle, it's impossible to say. Fika has very dark spots and lots of them, lots of dark blotches, and he's really, really fluffy. Let me just turn this off this now. You can get a little closer look at the hyena. Paula is asking about the hyenas, and of course that is... yes, it's crucial. We did hear they had a den on Little Gowrie, which we believe they have left. And both Jamie and I have a sneaky suspicion it could be on Chitwa now, but we just don't know where. And it's all, I mean, there's termite mounds everywhere. It would take us forever to go from termite mound to termite mound. So we're in contact with other guides from other areas and trying to see if we can locate exactly where the den is. We have learned so much about these amazing animals, and it's just devastating that we've lost them. So finding Fika like this, even though it's a male who might not be on the way to the den, it is still a wonderful moment. I believe this hyena's on the way for food. It's dinner time for this hyena. So it might be a bit bumpy, but BK is going to try and keep him on the screen while I drive, because my driving skills are so incredible, as you all know. So we're going to follow this hyena for a little bit longer. I'm so excited right now. But we are going to send you over to Tristan with my favourite Tlalamba.
Well, good luck, Lauren. Hopefully you'll find where it is. As you can see, little Tlalamba has turned around now and is lying... I mean, I don't know, David, what do you think? 2 meters, less, maybe 2 meters from where we are at the moment. She just walked straight up to where I'm sitting and lay down right next to us. And then she's just kind of watching us and trying to catch flies as she goes about it. There you can see her little eye poking through the grass, and she's kind of looking at us and kind of every now and then peeks at what David's doing on the back. And has very wide eyes, and it's made kind of more wide by the fact that it's getting dark, and so her pupil is dilated hugely, and that makes it kind of look as though she's kind of a bit almost nervous. But it's amazing that she walked as close as she has. I didn't expect her to come as close as she has come to us. She's kind of lay right near us, and now is having the best little game trying to basically catch all the flies. You might see some of them buzzing around my head. They really are quite out of control today, and poor little Tlalamba is having to deal with that just as much as what we are. But you can see how close she is. I mean, she's literally lying at our feet basically, which is pretty ridiculous in its own right. It's nice that she's getting like this. I was just saying to Dave, it's quite nice that she's not really inherited much of her mother's traits in terms of being snarly so far. I mean, that could obviously change. She seems to be quite relaxed and a lot like her brother Tamba in many respects. Shame, girl, are they driving you mad? Are the flies driving you crazy? Do we need to get you some repellent? Maybe we should spray her with repellent, and then she would be able to keep the flies away. I wonder if there's like areas that they go to try and get away from it, and that's maybe why she's in this long grass like this. I suppose part of it is that she camouflages really well, and it's very difficult for anything to find her in here. But maybe she thinks that if she's here, she's going to get better luck to stay away from flies and various other things. But she's not winning. I mean, you can see she's constantly moving her head, lashing out at flies, trying to grab them with her mouth. Ears are constantly twitching all over the place. So she's having a really tough time of it. It's a shame, my girl. You're having a tough day. Summer's hard, isn't it? I suppose she was a little cub this time last year, and so... Hello. What are you doing? Are you just looking at us? There's something quite special when you sit this close to a little leopard like this, and she just looks at you with these big, beautiful eyes and kind of watches you. And you can see in her mind, she's almost thinking, what are you exactly? And what are you doing here? Do I need to worry about you being here? Do I not? And now she's rolling on her back in the most playful of nature. Are you playing? This is so cool. It's been a long time since I've had a leopard sighting where there's been a leopard kind of this close and watched us as much as what she has. She's very, very cool. It's easing the pain of not having Hosanna around, that's for sure. This little Kalamba, we've been so lucky that we've been spending so much time with her over the last little bit. Michelle, I think she likes spending time with everyone, to be honest with you. If you've watched her kind of behavior when we've been finding her this week, and it's not just me that's found her. I mean, Ali spent some time with her, James has spent time with her, and Jamie too. And every time she seems to almost be quite playful when people are around. And when I found her the other day, I promise you, I was saying to David, it was amazing to actually see, because we came driving down the road and she came running from out the bush, running towards the car. And I wonder if she maybe part of her thought we might be following Thandi. What are you doing, girl? Are you having fun with all the grass now? Oh, his little white belly is just sticking up. Exactly. She has taken a leaf out of Hosanna's social book. Anyway, she came running towards the car and then kind of stood in front of us, looking at us as if to say, did you bring Mom? What's going on? Do I get food? What's happening? And then proceeded to walk to the waterhole and be a bit of a clown for the remainder of the afternoon. So, she's such a cool little cat, and all the sightings we've had of her recently around Gwaripan have been really cool to see. Are you going to come closer? You can't come closer. No, not on the bonnet. No. She listened. She didn't jump on the bonnet. She was looking on the bonnet for a second there. No, you can't lie there, Tlalamba. That's under the car. Oh, goodness. She's lying under the car on the front side. All I can see now is just her little face peering out from underneath the kind of bull bar area, which is not really ideal at all. So this is going to be us sitting. Now, Dave, I don't know if you can see her tail here. I'm going to just put on a little light just to help David a bit. But, Dave, I'm going to just try and kind of push it down a little bit. Now, straight to the right here, in there somewhere, you'll see a little tail every now and then. Can you see it there? Just go down a little bit, Dave. In there is where her tail is. Now, it goes up and down every now and then, but that's how close she is. Her tail is there, and if Dave kind of comes out and pans a little bit to the left, you'll see where the front of the car is. There it is. So when I say that she's under the car, I'm not joking. So it might be a long stay. David, did you pack some snacks? Because we might be here a while. We've got lots of snacks. Excellent. We've got lots of water. So this should be fine. If we're still dressed in the same clothes tomorrow morning, you have all figured out what's going on. She's moved now. That's good. She's walking away from us. Excellent. So there we go. So she's straight in front of us now, just kind of moving through the thickets at the moment, and is going to go and lie down over there. I think she just wanted to come and see what this big sort of green thing was that was so close to her. Wasn't that cool? That was very cool. I believe a lot of you think it was quite cool that she did that too. Now, what I am not going to do is I'm not going to follow her any further, because it's very thick in here, and I'm only going to disturb her more. And we've had a nice sighting of her, and so sometimes it's just good to respect animals a little bit and let them kind of carry on. And she's obviously moved into a thick area, and for me to follow her there is only going to just kind of make her feel a little bit threatened, particularly now at this time of the night. I don't really want to draw too much attention crashing after her, kind of, you know, attracting maybe hyenas or something like that. But at least we know where she is now for the morning. I'll certainly let the guys know, and they can come and have a scratch around here. Hopefully she'll be out and about and entertaining everyone. Anyway, good. That's going to be it from David and I think. And so in the meantime, we'll send you back across to Lauren, so I think she can say goodbye from all of us.
And so, sorry about that. Tristan obviously had to leave the siding with Lalamba, but I think you guys had her for long enough. So we followed who I think was Fika, and you know what baffles me every time is they know how to get rid of a vehicle. They're not scared. They just know that if they go through the vegetation and then cut around, they can get rid of you. These hyenas just never fail to impress me. We're going to give you the final shot of what wasn't the most successful sunrise I have ever anticipated, but it is a pink sky. So let's all take a look at this beautiful pink sky up ahead. And I really hope you enjoyed the drive with us together. We saw so many fantastic things, and those elephants tussling around was just a magical moment for me. And I'm so glad I got to share it with you all. So as per usual, thank you from all of us at SafariLive here in South Africa and up in the Masai Mara. So please do join us tomorrow for a sunrise safari at 5 a.m. See you then.